right, just want to give a quick warning for any of those that are tuning this episode. We actually do go into some adult themes. I want to say something that might be a little triggering because we do talk about abuse and things. So just want to give a quick warning out before you get too far in this episode. All right, sit back and enjoy. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the goblins with me tonight?
Space Oddity, Stuart Hughes.
Tiffany Albertin.
Goblin King, Helena.
That's a terrible David Bowie impression.
I wasn't.
I could picture her face. I could picture her face when she was saying that.
Thank you. Okay.
I am Jareth. It's like the typical internet fat guy.
Well, actually,
you reminded me of that. There's that really dumb commercial for, I think it was not for Raid, but for the World War II Babe game or something, and it had a fat guy. Then they went, after they got a bunch of hate, I guess they went and did a behind the scenes show and put all the makeup on and everything. I didn't watch it, but I'm like, this is really stupid.
I both love and hate those shitty mobile game commercials. I do not understand them. I don't know what kind of human being it takes to make them, but I also kind of appreciate that they're like the new version of good bad movies. We're just questioning everything.
I question how they exist.
Yeah.
Or why they're trying to sell me Raid Shadow Legends every time I watch a YouTube video. But hey.
They exist because there's a market, and the entire market is Adam. Because he's trying to figure out how to make one and how to market it. So he's learning from everybody else doing it.
I would suggest following the Raid Shadow Legends system and not the weird Family Guy king cheats on his fat, ugly wife and marries a 10-year-old girl with lipstick on. And it's like, you could do anything in this game.
Oh, what?
This is every fucking mobile ad I see.
Oh, weird.
Okay, your mobile ads are different than the mobile ads I get.
You don't get those? I get those constantly, where it's it'll be Song of Sultans. And it's there's not a single fucking sultan in this ad. I don't understand.
I get the one with World War II babes all the time. Weird.
I don't understand. Somebody out there is making those, and I want to meet those people. Ask them why. It's gotta be somebody from some third world country. They're hiring super cheap that doesn't understand English or something. Just what should we do?
There was one ad that had Zelda Breath of the Legend for a mobile game. I'm like, that's not the mobile game you're trying to have me download, guys.
Oh, no.
I always get them because I like Ruby. I always get the fake Ruby ads all the time where it's play as one of the 5 girls, and it'll be 4 Ruby knockoffs and then Hinata from Naruto. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Nada.
Don't understand.
All right, I think we should introduce what lovely movie we're going to be talking about this week. This month, this episode. We're going to go with that. This episode. This was actually a special. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm drinking a beer. This is not rehearsed. We're doing this pick. This is a special kind of happy birthday type thing to Tiffany, my wife that's on here, because this is one of her favorite movies, and that's why we're doing this at the movie special for this month. And we're doing Labryinth. I don't think I said the name.
No.
I was like, wait a second, I'm forgetting something here.
How you didn't even introduce it, just hey, we're doing Labryinth.
Ta-da.
It's only been 70 some episodes that we've recorded so far.
Yeah, we're professionals. We've been doing this for more than a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll take a bow.
Does that mean you can put it on your resume now?
Yeah, I could actually.
But the resume is we are the most, according to us, we are the most professional podcasters on the market today.
Hey, Chartable told me we're number 35th gaming podcast in Ecuador.
Yeah, so we're doing really well in Ecuador.
I was excited.
Congrats, guys.
And number 71 in Japan.
I love the idea of being the number one. I mentioned this to Mike. I love the idea of being the number one podcast in Ecuador. It's we go to Ecuador and we're fucking celebrities, and then we come back to America and it's just who the fuck are you? You have a podcast?
And nobody
cool.
knows you.
Just vacation in Ecuador every year.
Every so often I start talking to people, I'll try to work in do you listen to podcasts? Do you like games? Well, why don't you take a look? I've tried it on a couple people. It didn't work. One guy just looked at me what the hell? One guy downloaded us and subscribed while I was talking to him. So hey, It works.
It's a download.
If we get big enough, do you think we can get the government of Ecuador to pay for us to travel there?
No, I do not.
No, probably not.
I'll contact
It's
their.
always good to dream big.
Do they have a
Yeah.
president? I'll
Okay.
contact their president.
Happy birthday, Tiffany.
Ah, cool.
It's a special episode. So I should say what so I did say earlier, we are going to be talking about Labryinth eventually. This movie did come out in
Yeah.
1986, directed by Jim Henson. And I have a really odd memory that I want to say first about this. Like, I didn't know what this movie was for years, but I have this vague memory of being, I want to say, in second, third, or fourth grade. I went into the auditorium for something with my class, and they were playing this movie, but I didn't know what it was.
Really?
It's called Puppets. I saw the movie, and then we went out of the auditorium to go somewhere else. And I always remember that. It wasn't until many, many years later, I'm like, oh yeah, that was that movie. And I was in my 20s by the time I realized what it was.
Had that
but
much of an impression on you, huh?
it just did kind of. I mean, I actually never saw this movie until me and you watched it a couple years ago. Was the first time I saw it?
I forced him.
I also did not watch this movie as a child. I sought it out as a
Yeah, I did
and
not.
I was like, I watched it and I was like, this is a kid. They show this movie to kids?
Not
Terrifying.
a kids movie.
It's
I
not
also-
really.
It's an 80s kids movie, which means it's a kids movie that's allowed to be like super dark and violent and
Oh, that
these
reminds
big
me.
adult themes.
It's a coming of age story according to Jim Henson.
I was thinking
A lot of
about this
questions right
while
now.
watching the movie, but because I rewatched this movie yesterday because as I told Mike, I kept thinking it was Saturday on Friday, and so I kept like having these little mini panic attacks where I'm like, shit, I haven't watched the movie yet, and realizing that it was Friday, and then like feeling better, and finally I was like, fuck it, I'll just watch the movie today, so I stopped freaking out. It was like 5 times in a row. I was like, oh god damn it, I forgot.
I mean, next time I can just send you a recording of me going Friday, Friday. If you want.
The problem is I have Fridays off now, so I think it's Saturday constantly. While watching the movie, I was like, I remember thinking this movie was really, really weird when I first watched it. And watching it again, I kept thinking this is just a live action version of Spirited Away.
Huh.
That's interesting.
I kept coming back to Spirited Away where I'm like, this isn't that weird. The only thing that makes it weird is that it's puppets, but like Hoggle and Ludo are no stranger than like No Face from Spirited Away or the Witch or all these other characters.
Hoggle resembles the witch a little bit.
Hoggle kind of resembles the Witch. Ludo kind of resembles like Totoro.
A little bit.
Hello.
We're stretching it there.
A little bit. He's a big hairy monster in the same way that Totoro is a big hairy monster.
Oh, okay.
But it's like the same kind of story. Like a girl's family is taken from her and she must overcome the odds and kind of learn to be an adult and save her family.
Okay. I'll give it to you, I guess.
It's good someone is, because I wasn't going to, but you can go with it.
I guess.
I could have watched Spirited Away to compare it better, but unfortunately I don't own it on Blu-ray. And if you don't own it on Blu-ray, then there's just no fucking way you can watch it.
Hey, it's all you got to do is leave America and go somewhere else, and then you can watch on Netflix.
Like
I have the VHS copy.
You can't do that,
Ooh.
Mike. You can only watch the other Studio Ghibli movies because I have a fucking VPN and I traveled digitally to about 30 different fucking countries. And finally I was like, fine, I guess I'll just watch Kiki's Delivery Service instead.
Good movie.
It is a good movie. I watched Labryinth and then I watched Kiki's Delivery Service
Delivery.
and then I watched Porco Rosso and I was like, that's probably enough.
That is
for
enough.
this.
Oh, Helena, do you have any memories of this movie?
Okay, so as you know, Mike, I totally thought this movie was Dark Crystal up
Yeah.
until maybe 3 days ago, and then realized I had totally compartmentalized it incorrectly. So no, I don't have many memories of it. I did not like puppets as a child, which is why I was terrified of Dark Crystal / Labryinth for most of my childhood. And then as an adult, watched it and was not a huge fan. And I'm not sure if I am a fan now or not, but I have a lot of feelings about it.
I feel like that's like the case with anything Jim Henson did aside from the Muppets. Like the Muppets are puppets, but they're very fun and like they're very like kid friendly and nice and funny. And then you go to see like Dark Crystal or Labyrinth, and it's like, oh, this is not. Where's Kermit? Why is what's happening? This is so dangerous.
Well, if you want to see Kermit, all you do is you put on the special features, close your eyes, listen to Jim Henson talk. You'll hear Kermit just fine.
That's true.
I didn't realize how close to Kermit's voice he sounded when he just talks regular. Just talks.
Well, he voiced Kermit. That makes sense.
Well, I knew that.
His son was the voice of Hoggle, which is hilarious to me.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian Henson he puppeted and voiced Hoggle.
Yeah, he puppeted. He was one of like the 5 puppeteers for Hoggle.
Yeah.
And then there was an actress inside of Hoggle too, wasn't there?
Yeah, she made her walk, and then it took like 5 puppeteers to just do his head.
Yeah. That's why I like seeing the credits for any like Jim Henson work, because it's like and Hoggle played by 5 people, and then Brian Henson. Udo played by 7 people, and also a voice actor.
It was 2 people and a voice actor.
They swapped out. He watched the behind the scenes too.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Wasn't by choice.
Unfortunately, I was not able. I really wanted to watch the behind the scenes of this, and I didn't have time because I couldn't find it.
2 different people that swapped out and did the voice for Bluto.
I suspect that because I haven't watched Dark Crystal, I'm planning to at some point so I can watch the the revival series of it. But I have a suspicion that nobody really liked that at first. Same with Labryinth, but everyone just had like Stockholm syndrome, where they saw this terrifying thing as children, and eventually they just grew to enjoy it or appreciate it.
I mean, I can go. I mean, hell, Stockholm syndrome works with this movie in a way. Like there are certain things that I want to talk about later on where I was like, yeah, there's some issues. But like, even just the opening of this movie, where you have her reciting, is she reciting the Labyrinth at the play that she's trying to rehearse for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like a thespian, a little theater kid, which if you're a theater kid like I was, you recited like plays and poetry and shit.
For fun?
Yeah, for fun. Well, I know a lot of people did it so that like they could like teach themselves to remember lines and pretend that they were like Broadway stars. Which I was always the tech kid, so I didn't do it for that. I just like plays. But yeah, she's in the park. I like how this movie starts, where she's in the park and she's reciting the Labyrinth, but you don't see the book. You just see her in her like Renaissance era dress.
The white dress.
Yeah, and then it pulls back and you see like the dog and the area, and it's like, what year is this set in?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Not that there aren't like Renaissance dogs, but it's like a big shaggy dog on a park bench, and you're like, is this like modern times? I like how she pulls up her dress and she's wearing jeans, and you're like, oh, okay, it's the 80s.
There's also the owl.
Yes, which is like one of only 2 effects in this movie that I think don't hold up.
Mm-hmm. With the CGI owl.
Yeah. To be fair, that CGI owl was, I want to say that was like one of the first full CGI characters in a movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it might have been the first, because this wasn't just Jim Henson's like Creature Shop movie. It was also produced by George Lucas.
Yep.
Back in the days of George Lucas being like...
You forgot that?
Yeah, I did. I blocked it on my memory.
To explain to our younger audience, George Lucas wasn't always the Star Wars prequel guy. George Lucas was actually like a really like brilliant filmmaker back in the day, where he invented a lot of technology. Like they essentially invented like whole camera movements for the original Star Wars movie, where they had to like cut out parts of the set to film certain scenes from like lower angles to make Darth Vader look more intimidating. They basically invented half of like CGI for THX 1138.
I should know what you're talking about, but I don't.
It's an old George Lucas movie that's very dark.
That's why I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
If you've played BioShock, there are elements of BioShock that are based on THX 1138.
Okay.
Okay.
I learned something new.
The numbers 1138 also come up in a lot of movies, and now that you know about them, you'll see them everywhere.
Yeah, because isn't it? It's like the room at Disney where like the animators work, isn't it?
I don't know about that factoid, but I believe that.
I think it's like the Disney animator room, and so a lot of people put it in there as like an homage to Disney's animation, or an homage.
That's interesting.
I know what you're talking about.
I like that.
Yeah. kind of like the Wilhelm scream, where they just they wanted to make a series of sound effects that were usable for a bunch of other things, and then the Wilhelm scream kind of became like a running joke / homage to that sound effect, which is also interesting, but also kind of needs to die. Like 1138 isn't like in your face annoying, whereas the Wilhelm scream doesn't always fit the movies it's in.
Yeah, and the baby cry. I don't know what I don't know the name of the baby cry, but everyone knows the baby cry.
I want to say that one is more like, let's just use this baby cry sound effect instead of making a baby cry and feeling terrible.
Which, speaking of, did you know that all of Toby's cries in the movie were actually David Bowie?
Really?
Yes,
Yes.
they were.
That makes sense, because I was like, this baby sounds a little odd.
Because this baby's about in his 40s, so had a lot to do with it. But if we were rewatching this movie, like even as after she gets to the house and you have the part where she's getting mad at her stepmom. I want to say it's her stepmom because her parents are divorced. Okay.
Her stepmom. We have been over this. We should have previewed some stuff before we started.
There's no rehearsal done for this podcast.
No, I guess not.
The #1 most professional, unprofessional podcast.
I want to say, as B. Miller said in the holiday special, this is unedited and I forgot the other part.
Unscripted, yes. I think.
Yeah,
something
unscripted, like unedited. Kendall would know.
I like how you remember the holiday episode more than I do.
I had to edit it.
That's true.
But it's everything in that house. Like, there's the first part, which I guess she's gonna go out or something. I wasn't really completely paying attention when I was watching this movie recently.
They don't really set it up.
Are you talking about the parents?
Yeah, like the parents are going out and she's all mad because she has to watch the baby.
I kind of like that. I appreciate that it's not for everyone, but I kind of like that way of storytelling where it's just like you just kind of have to assume what's happening. Where she comes home and like her mom and dad are like, we're going out. And she's like, oh, but you go out all the time. And they're like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was going out.
But what if I had plans?
Yeah, but what if I have plans? She's just the most annoying, bitchy teenager.
A teenager. She played it well.
But what if I have? What if I have plans? Not I have plans, but what if I have plans? You can't
She's
go out.
She's a theater kid. She doesn't have plans.
And she's dramatic, so.
You don't see her in a modern movie. Like, in a modern movie about Labryinth would start like this. It's a kid in a classroom. Like, she's got like her friends that she's talking to, and like maybe there's like a school bully or like a boy she likes. This movie like just cuts out all that bullshit, and it's just like, here's a kid she's whiny. We're getting right into it. Look,
there's a boy she
likes. You're gonna be in the labyrinth. Don't worry.
That's what I took from this movie.
What?
I took there's a boy she likes.
Well,
technically,
this movie might be one of the best like representations of sexual assault ever, but that's up for debate.
We might not go there, but
there are a lot of meanings that people subscribe to this movie that are very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's one thing I do want to mention. Like, even like one thing I didn't notice until this time of rewatching the movie is when they go up into her room and you start seeing. If you look at everything in the room, a bunch of the puppets that she runs into in Goblin World are puppets in her room. There's lots of little things. I think there's even, I think maybe not the door knockers, but I want to say that the lying shield guys. One tells the truth.
Shield guys on her desk. She actually has like a figurine of the Goblin King. She's got
She has the girl in the dress that she wears to the ball gown. The ball.
Yeah, she's got like a poster of. This is the weirdest thing for a teenager to have. Like, she's a theater kid, so she's like a big poster of cats. And like some other plays. Hey, don't talk shit about cats. I just saw it on Tuesday.
I kind of want to see it just because Taylor Swift.
No, you're seeing that by yourself.
No. The movie Cats is fucking stupid. Do not go see that.
But Taylor Swift is in it.
I
have a thing for Taylor.
I'm angry. No, I saw my mom and I.
Return you?
I return you. No, my mom and I actually just on Tuesday we went to go see the stage play Cats, which was phenomenal. I saw it once. I saw it a couple times when I was a kid. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it's still so fucking good.
They didn't have to update the CGI for the one you saw?
Yeah. It was all practical since it was on a stage.
I know.
Actually, do a really fun thing where there's like a train and they all come out and they like build the train out of parts and they're like dancing and bouncing around. Okay, it's a side note. I just have to say this since the movie Cats came out. The fucking play, Cats, is supposed to be a really funny, fun play with some just very serious moments sprinkled in. It's not this like dark fucking Zack Snyder bullshit like the movie looks. I'm actually really pissed about that. It's so stupid.
It was by Zack Snyder. Oh, that's so sad.
No, but it looks like it's by Zack Snyder. Where it's got,
I see.
Ian McKellen and is it Judi Dench? Like they just look so like dour and like serious, and it's like, no, this is supposed to be like a fun play. Like there's a lot of jokes in Cats. Like Cats is kind of like the Scott Pilgrim of musicals. There's a lot of jokes about musicals in the fucking play Cats. And the movie's just like, oh, everything's like the world is coming to an end and we're the last Cats. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, that was my rant about Cats. But the weirdest thing she has in her room is a poster of the MC Escher like relativity painting. It's like, I don't know any teenager that was really into MC Escher.
I don't even know what MC Escher is.
It's the stairs. You know all the stairs?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say MC Hammer at first, but then you didn't go there. You kept going.
I was like, I didn't see
teenagers were
that.
super into MC Hammer.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah.
Well, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that were like, yeah, like I got my Cats poster. I got my MC Escher poster.
This girl.
She's a strange girl. She didn't have any plan. That's why she shouldn't have been upset.
But what if she did have plans?
She was gonna read and listen to MC Hammer.
Yeah, I think a lot of this movie though is it benefits from watching it more than one time though, when you notice that stuff in her bedroom.
Oh, and another thing in the bedroom which we never noticed until this last watching is in the book that she's flipping through. There's something that says "Mom" on it, and then there's a picture of David Bowie in the book.
Like actual David Bowie.
Oh, really?
It's her mom's boyfriend.
Oh, really?
Close. Yeah, you have to look really close. The pictures on her mirror too are her mom and David Bowie.
Oh, I actually did know about that because that goes into one of the theories I've heard about this movie. That's very
I was like, oh, so this just took a different turn.
Yeah, save that for later. It paints this movie in an entirely different light, which we will get to probably.
I was like, whoa.
Depending on how high everyone's spirits are, we'll get to that.
Okay. But
I never noticed that. I'm like, and then after knowing that and rewatching this entire movie, I'm like, all right, this movie's a little different. Like, there's issues here I had.
I like the picture of, she has like a picture of what looks like an actress on her vanity. And it's just got like, I think that's just there to assume that that's her mom. And her mom was like this famous actress, or at least a very good actress.
I don't know.
There's tiny things I really appreciate. That's like all Jim Henson is, just throwing in really tiny details for you to notice that.
I love the first bedroom scene. There's so much in there.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best teenager bedroom in any movie.
Yeah.
It's not
Truly.
like it's over the top, but it makes sense for the character. It's not like every other like kid's bedroom in every other movie where it's like just bullshit. Like, oh, there's baseballs and like airplanes because it's a boys' room and boys like baseball and airplanes, and a big picture of like some sports guy. And then if it's a girl's room, it has to be all pink and filled with Barbies.
You're not wrong, unfortunately.
Because kids in movies are allowed to like one thing.
Yes, and the wall of her favorite boy banders.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh.
I like
where was New Kids on the Block? Come on now.
Was that in the 80s?
Yeah, I had to think really hard what the 80s boy
I was thinking of Backstreet. I'm like, nope, that's not the 80s.
No,
That was 90s.
Yeah.
That was my time.
Yeah, it would have been New Kids on the Block, I think.
Quick poll: who was alive in the 80s of us?
I think everybody but me.
Me.
I was not.
Okay, everybody but me.
Mike was like 2.
Yeah.
That's still born in the 80s. That's
I
still
was born late 87, so.
Yeah.
That's why I get annoyed when people are like, "Oh, I'm just a '90s kid," and then they'll talk about like a really early '90s thing. I'm like, dude, we were both born in ¡93. You do not remember this thing from fucking '91. Don't act like you were there. We grew up in the 2000s. That's what we remember.
I think I grew up in the 90s, but like,
Yeah,
and the whole thing is,
like
like she doesn't want to watch the kid, and then as she's holding the baby. And he, you know what? For someone that raised a baby, he's not that bad of a baby in this little scene. And she's complaining that he's crying. And then she's like, I wish the Goblin King would come take you away. And I like it when all the puppets wake up. They're like, she's going to say the words.
Oh, I love
really
that.
Like that scene.
The little podlings. They look like podlings.
Yeah. That might be my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where it just hard cuts to the goblins like waking up. It's so
Did she
sudden.
say it?
Did she say it?
Did she say it?
Jim Henson did not fuck around. He was like, we're going. It is on.
I do love the Wall of Goblins. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all just sitting there like,
That's not how you say it.
That's one of those things though, where it's like the more you watch the movie, the more you appreciate that. Like, yeah, Toby's not really a bad baby. He's not like really
You
crying.
just don't want to go to bed.
Yeah, but it's like the impression you get of, oh yeah, like she's talking about like her new stepmom and her dad. So like this is the stepmom's baby, and it's kind of like replacing her, and she doesn't really know where she is in this family anymore.
Yeah,
everything they were going for.
He's just a baby babying.
He's just a baby. But you're a 15-year-old playing a 16-year-old. You're gonna be dramatic.
Absolutely.
I want to give mad props, by the way, to Jennifer Connelly. Well, she's gonna watch this episode, but it's Jennifer Connelly, who was 15, I think, at the time of this, playing a 16-year-old and doing a phenomenal job.
Was she supposed to be 16?
Yeah, she's 16 in the movie, but as an actress, she was. She was only 15.
14 or 15, yeah.
She has a really crazy kind of start where she was in like a Sergio Leone movie, not as the main character. She was just in it. And then like the next movie she was in, she was the star of a Dario Argento like giallo horror movie. And it's fucking crazy. Like that doesn't happen.
I think she just got like really lucky too from what, she just went to casting and they just casted her for those parts. Something like that. It talked about it.
She started in modeling. She said, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to be in one of the most famous horror movies of all time.
I've never heard of it.
Phenomenon. It is.
I don't know.
Is it phenomenal?
Yeah, it is phenomenal. I want to say, I don't know if it's a Criterion Collection.
Mana.
It's just, early Dario Argento is kind of like known for being a very, very famous horror filmmaker whose quality suddenly fell off at some point. But those early movies were fucking phenomenal. Phenomena.
I can't stop.
Yeah, and then like she was in like a teen movie, and then immediately following that was in Labyrinth. This is her fourth movie.
I mean, this movie for a long time
just dropped off though.
She still shows up in things.
After that, she dropped off for a while.
She was in Requiem for a Dream, right? And that was like the darkest role ever.
Yeah. And she also was she was 7 in the movie 9, so she was 7 of 9. Star Trek joke. I almost said Star Wars. Forgive me.
That's for me.
I think the last thing she was in was Alita Battle Angel. I don't know what else she was been in. Oh no, she was in Spider-Man Homecoming as well.
She was?
Yeah, she was like the voice. She was like the voice of one of the suits. She doesn't do very much now, but when you start off and you're in like these insane movies. Plus she's like married to Paul Bettany, so what else could you really want?
It's hard to follow that up.
Yeah.
Hey, she's in Rocketeer.
She was in The Rocketeer, yeah. The Rocketeer is also a very, very good movie.
That movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, that movie's kind of making a comeback lately. I'm worried that means they're going to try to remake it. I don't want them to.
No.
All right.
Can't they just leave it alone?
As we were talking about with her and the baby, like I do like that whole part where she's when she does finally get the words right and she's just so angry at the child. What it does make sense, like in the idea of of being replaced, and I guess I wouldn't know how a teenage girl feels, but that idea of being a teenager and being replaced, your family's kind of broken apart. Like it does make sense, and it becomes a lot stranger when you think more into it. Like how she says these words, the Goblin King, the baby disappears, and all of a sudden little goblins popping in and out, and then David Bowie shows up, but which looks like her mother's new boyfriend. Which after you put that in there, I'm just like, I got some problems here.
Lots of problems.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the peach scene.
Oh God,
we'll get there. But first, we gotta talk about Jared.
His pants. Are we gonna talk about his pants?
We'll get because his pants don't show up at first. First, you see him from the waist up, and you don't realize. But
I don't realize
she says the words. And immediately, fucking David Bowie in the most David Bowie ass outfit ever shows up in her fucking window, and it's great. I fucking love David Bowie, and it's fantastic, and he's great, and he looks awesome.
And the makeup, the hair, it's very 80s and perfect.
The crazy eyes that are like his eyeliner is like makes his eyes look like all sharp and like creepy, and he's got like a stringy wig on. I don't know how to describe his hair.
Hardcore mullet.
There you go.
It's like a mullet with like tails on it, though. It's so odd.
Tails.
It's
mullet, rat tails, and then also like 80s pop.
Yeah.
If a mullet had sex with like the hair of Europe, then Europe the band, that's what it is.
Just went with Poison.
It's great. And I love that David Bowie like. Oh God! Immediately is just like full creep factor of like, I'll take the baby away. Don't worry. You said you wanted the child to disappear, so I'll take it. And immediately she's like, no, that's not what I meant. I was just like, I'm just a teenager. Don't listen to me. I just say stupid shit.
Here's your consolation prize, a crystal.
Yeah, here's a crystal ball. Which, since you watched the behind the scenes, this is one of the things I do know about this, which the scene where like he is flipping the crystal ball around his hand.
Yeah, I like a magician.
Yeah, I just assumed that was David Bowie doing that. I didn't realize that.
You can't possibly have assumed that was David Bowie doing that.
It's David Bowie. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
My bad.
It's like you're gonna tell me that if you asked me if like, hey, do you think David Bowie could like flip crystals around in his hand? I'd be like, yes, that sounds exactly like David Bowie. I have no reason to assume he can't.
I always assumed that the crystals were like I don't know. Yeah, like a trick of the light, or like I don't know, like one of those spinny top things that was really good a few years ago.
What were those names? What was the name of those stupid fucking? Because they used to sell like these stupid plastic balls that would do that. And like, I don't know if anybody remembers going to the mall and seeing like people playing around with them. But they actually sold like
spinners, but.
No, this was like 10 years prior to fidget spinners. There's these stupid plastic balls that like you do the David Bowie crystal ball hand thing with them. And it was like, oh, this is like the hot new toy. And I wanted one so badly as a kid.
I don't remember.
Like the metal balls?
What'd you say?
Like the metal balls, or they were like silvery?
They were, yeah, kind of. They looked like liquid, but they were like metal or plastic balls.
Do they come in like a cute little ornate box?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I totally had those.
I was never allowed to buy them as a kid because my parents were like, no, that's stupid. And now I realize that, yes, they were stupid, but...
but you wanted them.
There was like a year-long period where every kiosk at our mall had those. And every time I went to the mall, there'd be like 30 people playing with them. And I'd be like, I want that so badly. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll never see anything cooler. I know I'm only 7, but this is as good as it gets.
High expectations.
Yeah. Well, that's every 7-year-old. Yeah, it was like the balls, and then like the net, like at some point they got rid of the balls and they brought in those stupid little airplanes that were like the drones before drones.
Oh.
And then everyone was playing around with those, and I got to test drive one once, and I accidentally flew it up into the food court and into somebody's face, and I just like ran away. Just like, oops, bye.
I should go.
I had to like go upstairs, I guess, and just pull it out of somebody's Taco Bell. Me, like, sorry. I don't know why we set up this drone thing right below the food court, but that's what you gotta expect.
That's really funny, though. But like, even just the whole part when she goes into the world, I think he just like opens the window and makes it become the Labryinth world, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, I always thought she was hallucinating or it's a dream. I mean, I still think that. And
it could be a dream. Yeah.
Well, especially when you find out that the Goblin King is her.
We'll get to
boyfriend.
the peach. We got like, this is like a 2-hour movie, and the peach is
way far away.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We barely got. We just got her into the labyrinth. We've been recording it this time for 37 minutes. So hey,
we're at the first 10 minutes of this movie. This is a big movie.
We got a lot to say.
Lots.
Also, like, even just like, I do like the way the maze looks, and I do like there's a scene early on where she's standing up with the Goblin King, and they're looking down at the maze. And I mean, knowing not what I know now, it's just a really good painting as a background they're looking at, but it still holds up.
Yeah, it goes from being like a matte painting to a model for the maze. And I think the model, I like the matte painting. The model looks, I don't know, somehow just intimidating.
The whole maze is just creepy in the beginning, and it's also so cool. I guess she's running around, she's getting lost really early on, and I like the scene where she gives up. She sits down, and I can't remember exactly what there's a little worm sitting there, like, and I can't remember exactly how it starts. Like, yeah, but it's in a British accent.
It says hello, and she's like, "Did you say hello?" And he's like, "No, but close enough."
No, I said hello, but close enough.
Yeah, that little worm.
Oh, she's so cute.
Before she runs into the worm, she runs into Hoggle for the first time.
Oh, Hoggle's first?
Yeah.
Isn't he like peeing in a fountain or something?
Yeah, he's straight up pissing into this little pond. I love how she gets there. I want to mention real quick, this movie starts with like some really interesting cuts where I know I mentioned Scott Pilgrim already for Cats, but it has some like Scott Pilgrim-esque camera cuts where like she walks out and you see her looking out a window, and then like it hard cuts to her walking into the maze and the house is gone. And it's just like, it's almost like surreal. It's hard to describe that. So, like, it's like, it gives you the sense that like, I mean, like half the point of the movie is like not everything is how it seems, or you kind of play around with like perspective and like optical illusions and stuff. And so it kind of sets you up for that, but it's so odd in the beginning where it's like, okay, like don't trust anything. Because I want to say there's a scene like in the beginning where David Bowie is just turning around to talk to her, and like the background behind him changes. It's like, wait, what? Where are we right now? And you don't know when she enters the labyrinth. At some point she's in it, but I don't know if there's like a specific moment I could say, okay, now she's in the maze. It's disturbing, but in a good way.
It's meant to be strange.
Yeah, so it puts you on edge immediately. Just like, what? Wait, what just happened? Did I just miss something? It demands your attention. You're like, okay, I've got to pay close attention to the rest of this movie.
Speaking of missing something, when I first had got this movie when me and Tiff had first started dating, I was working third shift, and I would put this movie on before I went to work, and every single time I put it on, within half an hour, she just passed out. Loves this movie, but could not stay awake for this movie.
Like it's my comfort movie.
It's almost 2 hours. It's a good long movie. This was an almost 2 hour movie in the 80s, so
just put it on fast forward and it'll be much better.
Oh god, I hate that people do that now.
We did today.
It was an accident. We were in the battle scene and it was an accident. His controller is possessed and it started going faster, and I was like, well, this is more amusing watching it at this speed in the battle scene, so I just left it.
I know people
and everybody was running around.
I know people that only watch YouTube videos on 2 times speed. I'm just like, how short is your attention span? This has to be going twice as fast. Everyone sounds like a pitch higher than they should be. How are you paying attention to this?
You could still clearly understand everybody, but everybody was just walking and speaking faster.
So you really didn't get the full appreciation for Bowie's junk.
It was just that one scene.
Do you need to appreciate the junk? I feel like, he appreciates his own junk.
There.
At some point, it is. At some point, it is the central focus of a.
It is, yeah, with Hoggle.
It's like impossible to get away from it. There's a part where, Hoggle like drops to his knees and is begging something of the Goblin King.
In that scene, is like his pants are like the flattest they've been in the entire movie in that scene.
That's true. Yeah, that's the smallest his penis looks in the entire movie.
Yeah. There's nothing there. And then they cut Hoggles away from him and then it's all bulging again.
This movie created the rumor that David Bowie had the biggest dick, and it stuck for like 30 years. And then, like, sadly, he died, and nobody like really knew the answer to the question. We still don't know how big Bowie's dick was.
Well, another thing I want to say is, like, when you had the worm.
It's a good segue.
I like the worm invites her in
anyway
to go inside the cave. Like, just come on, follow me. And it's just like she's not gonna fit in that little hole. Like, it doesn't work that way. I was partly waiting.
I have some tea with the missus.
I like that.
So it might be. It might work that way. You don't know.
And I also Like, even the whole part, the worm's like, why don't you just go that way? And she's like, it's a wall. And he's like, you're just looking at it wrong.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
Just, I like how the whole idea.
Alice in Wonderland, eat this crumpet and you can come into my house.
I love that. Yeah, she walks through and it's like, oh, this is actually a hole. I love stuff like that. That's great. Playing around with like illusion.
It just feels like in life too, sometimes you're looking at a problem completely wrong, but when you realize it's not really there, you're creating it. I mean, that's how I took it. Like anxiety, she was creating her own stress and anxiety from the situation and creating barriers that didn't exist or existed in her mind, but not. Yeah, I'm saying it wrong because I don't want to like downplay what I'm trying to say.
I like how she starts walking left, and the worm's like, "No, don't go that way. Never go that way." And she's like, "Oh, sorry."
Led straight to the castle.
Yeah, it's that part is so funny to me.
And then you're like, "Wait, we could have cut this movie in half."
The introduction of Hoggle is
it's a lot has to do with like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just, now that I'm thinking about it and what I was saying earlier, I feel like a lot of it's kind of in a way a representation of her anxiety and of getting older and just what you're going through. And they kind of put it, I mean, it's a, I know coming of age story, but they kind of put it in a way that to help people kind of understand it.
That's why I relate to Spirited Away, because Spirited Away is kind of the same kind of story that plays around the same kind of ideas. Yeah, like when Chihiro, I forgot her name for a second, which is a very big part of Spirited Away.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have even remembered that.
Chihiro, or at that point, Sin has to like get a job and is like literally trying to become adult and manage like all these people around her. And she's like 13. She's like, why is everybody just losing their minds? I don't understand. Why do I have to be the adult in this situation?
That's such a good movie.
Yeah, I like when you introduce Hoggle, he's pissing into a pond, and then she's like begging him for help, and he's busy gassing fairies to death. Like they're like they're pests. He has like a little pesticide sprayer, and he's just spraying these fairies, and they just fall to the ground dead. It's a weird movie. That's another one of those weird scenes. I forgot about that scene. Like, she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, what? I'm killing fairies. Like, it's just totally normal to him.
Doesn't a fairy like bite her? She's like, ow!
Yeah, she picks it up and it bites her in the finger. And he's like, hey, you're an idiot. Don't you know anything about fairies?
You.
It's so matter of fact. And then it introduced the running joke. So oh, no. That introduced the running joke of everyone getting Hoggle's name wrong. What were you going to say, Helena?
I was going to say, I think Hoggle is like the mean girl of the movie. He betrays everybody, gassing fairies, just pissing and things. Like, you just...
In a modern movie, Hoggle would be like, like a friend that she's fighting with. And that's how that's how the setup would go. If this was Wizard of Oz, Hoggle would be like a friend she was fighting with in the beginning, who is now a character in her dream.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad it doesn't have that Wizard of Oz beginning, though, because I feel like that would have taken away from the weirdness of everything.
Well, kind of. I mean,
there's still a lot of weirdness.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know, if the movie, like, hits you over the head in the beginning where, like, this character is this person, you'd be like, okay, this is, like, just a regular... I mean, it's still a weird movie, but I feel like you wouldn't be able to look into the plot as much as people do now.
Yeah.
It would be like, okay, this is definitely a dream. Without showing anybody, you don't know if it was a dream or if it was real or what's going on.
I still say it's a dream. But there's an early part where she gives Hoggle the bracelet as payment to help her find the castle.
Kind of early. That happens a little later.
Okay, maybe I don't remember as well.
They're in the, what's it called? I can't remember.
The oubliettes.
The oubliettes.
Oubliettes. I had to look it up because I didn't know if it was real.
I don't know what that is, but
it's a real thing in medieval castles. It's a room that is entered through a hatch, and it's essentially like it's like a mini dungeon where prisoners are held, but the only way to get into it is from a hatch.
Oh.
Okay, is Hoggle after
fall into the fucking... She meets Hoggle, Hoggle shows her the door and sends her in, and then she's like keeps running into some like traps.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the doors yet.
Yeah, the doors are pre-Hoggle bracelet.
Okay, I want to talk about the lying doors.
Fast forward it way too much.
Yeah. I can't remember this movie. I had to pay attention.
The doors are how she ends up in the oublet, which is also a really funny scene.
Yeah.
The classic riddle that I remember from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that was a big riddle.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, for those that Well, I mentioned this before, but when I edit this podcast, a lot of times I watch Yu-Gi-Oh because I don't give a shit, and it's great background just to have playing. But yeah, there's a scene where
riddle immediately.
Oh god, that one is so stupid. It's stupid in Yu-Gi-Oh. It was okay in this movie.
I like the riddle. The riddle's great. Can anyone describe the riddle?
That's a great question, and I will leave it to other folks.
I thought Stuart would definitely take this one.
Okay,
I'll take it.
I'll do my best. Okay, Mike will do his best.
Okay.
All right, so he comes up to the door, and you have two guards with, well, two-headed guards essentially. They got a head sticking out. Each guard
got
is
four.
Two guards, four head. One
you
head
have a number
out.
of guards.
He's not explaining it well at all.
I know. The game's my mom found.
Basically, you have two guards with two heads each, but the bottom heads are really just like there for comedic effect. That you more or less you have two guards. One always tells the truth, and one always lies. And one door leads to the castle, and one door leads to certain death. It's a classic riddle, like where you only have one question, and you can't ask. Like you have one question, and you got to figure out which one is lying and which one's telling the truth.
She can only ask one of them one question.
I like how quickly she figures it out too.
Oh, she's smart.
Yeah, that's like kind of one of the first moments in the movie where like Sarah starts like figuring things out for herself. I really like that.
So she got it right, but she still dips into the pit of hands.
Yes, but that did lead her to the castle, whereas the other way would have killed her. So technically, it was still the right way.
Okay.
So, joke's on you.
What it is one guard only tells the truth and one guard only lies, but you don't know which one's telling the truth or which one's lying.
Yeah, and the solution is you go to one guard and you say, would that guard tell me this is the way to the castle? And that's how you solve the riddle. And if they say yes, then that guard is basically it's like, it comes down to if they say yes, then that guard is like either a liar or telling the truth, but that means that door is the right door. And so she chooses it, and it's a great comedy moment where she's like, yes, I got it right. And then immediately a trapdoor opens and she starts falling. Into like, it's a scene straight out of like Evil Dead.
Out of hell?
Yeah.
It's
like
my version of hell.
That's what they look. They look like zombie arms to me.
Yeah, it's like literally a scene out of like Drag Me to Hell, that newer movie. I think it came out like 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, it came out a while ago.
Yeah. The newer horror
10 or 12 years ago, that newer movie.
I only compare horror movies and were they pre-1990 or post-1990, all right?
Oh, so if they're post, they're newer?
Yeah, they're post-1990. The last 30 years I consider a new horror movie.
It came out 2009.
Okay, so 10 years ago. But yeah, that part's so creepy. It's so creepy. She's falling through all these hands, and then at some point she just stops, and the hands form faces. And that's just like pure Jim Henson, is all about like I want to know like the process for Jim Henson coming up with that scene. Being like,
he didn't come up with that idea though.
Oh, he didn't? Who was that? Was like a random person?
The guy from one of the writers that worked at Monty Python revamped the script.
Oh, that was Terry Jones? Okay.
Yeah. Terry Jones. There you go. I couldn't think of his name.
We didn't even explain that in the beginning, but Terry Jones wrote the original script for this, and then they took it and he did like the first draft, and then they came back and they were like after they got the script, they were like, all right, let's change it up. We'll do like some rewrites of it. We'll fix it up. And after they did all that, they were like, oh, this kind of sucks. Let's just use the first one. But they didn't have the first one, so they had to go back to Terry Jones and be like, same script again, and he didn't have a copy of it, so he had to rewrite the movie from memory.
Oh God,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so Labryinth isn't like the Terry Jones Jim Henson movie. Labryinth is Terry Jones' best memory of the movie he was going to make.
That is really weird.
It's so perfect.
I mean, the arm thing is just like to me, it's kind of like straight out of a horror movie moment when she's being lowered down, but you have the comedic effect where they're like, "Which way do you want to go?"
Yeah,
I'll go down. She said down.
She said down.
Yeah, because why would you go back up? Going back up just.
That's what I would do.
That would be harder.
That just takes you back to the door.
She's already pointed down.
Part of my brain just at that point in that movie. Like I have so much sympathy for the hand puppeteers Because they must have been so stressed. Like this 15-year-old girl is descending, and you gotta be like, "Oh God! Like I hope I don't fuck up." I'm supposed to grab an arm here. I can't see what I'm doing.
They had her like on a wire or something.
Yeah, but like hands are just grabbing her on the way down. It's so creepy.
Oh, I see.
A lot of creepy things.
Imagine being the puppeteer in that situation, just like sweating bullets, just like, oh God,
Please don't let me grab the wrong place.
I'm just gonna flop my hand around. I don't want to. I can't see what I'm doing.
It's kind of so, Tiffany. You said it as a joke, but it is also kind of, for me, one of the darkest parts of the movie is the hands grabbing her.
It is dark.
It is. And when we're talking about coming of age, I think we would be doing a disservice not to mention that a lot of young women can probably relate to being grabbed by mysterious people when they're not expecting it. So it was a really fucked up part of the movie for me. I really didn't like it.
It was.
It was
I agree.
As weird as like the imagery is, the thought of like 50 hands grabbing you at the same time, like that's so fucking unnerving. Yeah, and now everybody listening to this episode is going to tense up with that thought of 50 hands grabbing them, just like.
Well, I mean, it's a very good point though. She brings up that it is. I mean, when you think of it that way, it does add a really dark take on it. In a way that does make sense, because there are a lot of people who unfortunately go through shit like that because humans are terrible. But I mean, it's not something that I really thought about when I was watching this, but it does make sense that happens to so many people. And that I don't know if that's what he was going for, but
we got like 15 minutes before we talk about the peach.
The peach.
With this movie,
there are a couple
We're
more
on
things.
a timer. What?
You talking about 15 more minutes into the movie?
I'm just guessing because
this is why we started recording early, because I knew this was going to go long.
After the hands is when she comes across Ludo, right?
Yes.
I want to say yes. Okay.
Yeah, and like I
just watched it and I don't know.
Wait. The after the hands is the bracelets.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I did jump.
They're in the oubliette after that.
Yeah. The hard part of this is that Hoggle keeps like pairing back up with her and then breaking off like multiple times throughout the movie. Sorry, just burped right into the microphone. Didn't have time to mute it. Hoggle keeps like pairing up with her and then like kind of he's like the cowardly lion of this group. He keeps like breaking off because he's like Jareth is trying to get him to betray her and like lead her back to the front, and he doesn't want to do it, so he just runs off, and then he has to go back because Jareth runs into him. And so the timeline of this first half is just very confusing. It's hard to remember because you're like, is Hoggle with her at this point or not with her? And is it pre-Hoggle getting the bracelet? Is it post-Hoggle getting the bracelet?
I can't remember. I mean, one thing we hadn't mentioned yet, there is she has a time limit which doesn't fit reality, because she has 12 hours to rescue
13.
Toby.
13 hours.
13 hours to rescue Toby, but her parents are only probably out for, let's say here, 4 hours, because it's probably 8 o'clock and they're not going to be out past 2 or 3, I'm assuming.
I've tried to explain this to him before, but
hey,
what?
I want my logic in my weird movies.
Okay,
look, as we all know from Paprika and from a lesser movie called Inception, where time moves differently.
So much
not Eureka, Paprika.
I like Eureka, damn it.
Eureka's great, and I think Eureka also covers this. But in the movie Paprika, in the movie Paprika, which Christopher Nolan stole the entire plot of for Inception, which I'm one of the people that's like kind of annoyed by that, but in the movie Paprika and the movie Inception, time moves slower in dreams than it does in reality. So it leads credence to your theory that it's a dream, Mike.
Yeah, this is what I told him too.
I love that she has 13 hours and David Bowie starts a comically ornate clock that has 13 hours on it.
But then doesn't he... How many times does he say, okay, we'll just take some time away from you?
I think
and like rewind. Does it only happen once?
Yeah, because that's the great line of she's like, this isn't fair, and he's like, you say that so much, I'm beginning to wonder what your baseline is.
Yeah, she says that a lot though.
Yeah,
and it's a piece of cake, that one too.
But that's when they're in the oubliette and they're like trying to get out, and Hoggle runs back into her. I think maybe that's when she gives him the bracelet to help him.
She gives him the bracelet, and then he like whips out the door and
yeah. Oh yeah, he puts the door on the wall. It's so cool. And he's like,
So
she's like, of course you're my friend. And he's like, friend? I don't understand the word friend.
It's a strange movie.
That bit though, where they're walking and they come across the like they're in the dungeon and they come across this like hunched over goblin. And at first you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like another character to kind of like give her some weird cryptic advice for her to go along. And then like they start talking to it and it immediately jumps up and it's like David Bowie in disguise. That part's so fucking creepy. It just comes out of nowhere. And I don't know, I'd say David Bowie's like creepy from the beginning of this movie, but I think that scene is when he really starts to get like aggressive.
Not when he steals the baby?
Well, when he steals the baby, he's doing it
He
in.
does
That was
that
good.
casually.
He does that in that kind of like because there is a lot of. Let's just fucking say it now. That David Bowie has
Helena
a
1,
very,
Stu 0.
yes. There you go. Let's just say it now. David Bowie has a very like abusive nature to him, where he is
Yes.
kind of like gaslighting her and going back and forth between I'm doing this for you and I'm only doing this so that you'll love me. That attitude, and it's. If any other actor was playing that character, this movie I think would be almost unwatchably like creepy
Hey,
and
Stu,
just
first.
say like,
Could have had Michael Jackson, guys.
oh my god, yeah, Michael Jackson almost played David Bowie. How?
What I do want to say before we go there,
Uh.
Stu, for a second there, you reminded me of my ex, someone I used to date. You're right there, word for word.
Explain anyway.
Stop. Right now.
I do it all the time.
Put him
But,
in the corner. You're done.
Yeah, like up to
Just mute
this
my
point,
microphone.
up to this point, David Bowie's like, I'm doing this because you asked me to, and like I'm only doing this so you'll love me. And then he gets like aggressive, and he's like, "You're never gonna get out of here." And it's a turn that is like,
Because he's close to like losing everything. So he's like freaking out.
it gets just unbearably like personal, I guess, or intimate.
Uncomfortable.
Abusive.
God. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, abuse is a good word. I mean, he is becoming he's always like he's manipulating her throughout the movie, but he comes off more friendly earlier on, and now he's starting to become much more manipulative and, like as Helena said, abusive. I mean, that's a very good.
Trying to get like he starts getting Hoggle to like actively betray her, and he's like cutting her off from everything. And anyone who's ever been in a toxic relationship, which I think is everybody on this podcast, but this movie becomes just fucking like this movie becomes like difficult. It's just like, oh man, David Bowie, please stop. I love you so much, David Bowie. Please stop. Please don't do
I
this.
didn't touch on some of the stuff. I didn't think about that when I was watching this last time, but that is very accurate to what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't.
It's
because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
I mean,
that makes much more sense.
I was distracted. I think I messed with my phone or playing Mario. I was playing Mario Kart, I think, on my phone. So
Can you
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they got Michael Jackson to play that fucking character?
Oh,
God.
God.
yeah,
I
especially
think
with all the
Prince was up for the role too, and Rod Stewart or something. I don't know.
Sting.
Prince and Sting are like David Bowie's kind of like sexual, but he's still very charming. I feel like Sting and Prince are just so over the top sexual. It would have been even like harder because she's 15 and he is like 1,000 or something. He's an immortal god.
Michael Jackson would have been worse, especially after everything, the allegation that came out
Yeah.
later. That would have just made this movie a lot darker in ways that,
It would have been like
Yeah.
there's this famous kind of like famous notorious trivia about Terminator, where originally the Terminator was supposed to be played by O.J. Simpson, but they said no to O.J. Simpson because they didn't think he could play a killer.
Yeah.
It's just
Is
like
that true?
that's true. Yeah, they
Oh my
turned him
gosh.
down because
That's
they didn't
serious.
think he could play a killer.
Well,
And,
he
like,
proved
looking
them
back-
wrong.
Yeah, that's why he did it. It's just like, I'll show you. Yeah, if he had played the Terminator, that movie would have been it would be like unwatchable now.
Yeah, it'd be horrible.
Like imagine this movie with Sting, but he's playing like Every Breath You Take instead of like the Magic Dance. It's just like, oh god.
That song does
The
not
one
hold
person
up.
I can imagine is Freddie Mercury instead of
Freddie-
David Bowie.
Yeah, they both have that same like magical charm that makes them seem
That's
almost.
the only other person I can imagine instead
I-
of David Bowie.
I'd say those are like the only two, like performers who have kind of they almost like transcend being human. They're just like, Yeah, like Freddie Mercury could do whatever he wants. I don't care. Like it's Freddie Mercury.
I would have accepted Prince, I think.
Prince would have been okay too. He would have brought a different element to it for sure.
Prince would have been borderline for me. I think he's too sexual, like Sting, where it'd be over the top creepy.
I never saw Sting as sexual, so I'm not sure where this is coming from.
You don't like Sting as sexual?
No.
You need to listen to more Police, because holy shit.
Sexual or sexy?
Sexual, not sexy. Like he is he has his entire persona is that he is like sexual.
Well, Mike,
okay, I just like
Taylor Swift, so there you go.
I would say Prince is, or not Prince. I would say Sting is like as sexy as like Rutger Hauer to me. They have that same kind of like weird, creepy energy that I'm just not into.
I need to look up Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer is the bad guy from Blade Runner. Yeah,
he's also in Lady in the Hawk. You probably that's a really deep cut.
I love that movie.
It's a good movie, but it's a deep cut.
But they both have that like weird creepiness to them that I don't know. David Bowie has all the charm in the world. He's kind of like Nathan Fillion or Bruce Campbell are kind of the same way, where they could play like the worst human beings on the planet, but because it's them, you're like, I kind of like this person. They're so charming. Like if David Bowie, I mean, just watch any like instance of David Bowie showing up in like a David Lynch film, or like him in like a Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. His character is so like deranged and disturbed, but it's still David Bowie, so it's just this weird mix of emotions. Like I feel like I should be in danger, but like I'm still thinking about all the David Bowie songs I like. So
I mean, I can't imagine someone else playing this part beside David Bowie now. I wouldn't have been okay with Prince because I don't like Prince for some reason, even though I live in Minnesota. But I just don't like Prince's music at all. But
I don't know.
My music taste is not.
If you had to cast anybody, like any human being, man or woman, in a remake of this movie to play the Goblin King, I don't know if there's anybody off the top of my head that I could name today.
No, I can't think of anybody.
I don't know. God, I don't know anybody that's.
So would we go for a musician?
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish would be really funny. But like we have to I think we'd have to wait like 20 years for Billie Eilish to be like as old as David Bowie was in this.
It could work.
She could get there. I don't know. Billie Eilish she's impressive. She could get there. She doesn't have
I'm sure to listen to her music too, but
she doesn't have like the knowingness that David Bowie had. She has like the presence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. But I could still see it, and I would like that.
It'd be interesting. I like Billie Eilish. I haven't listened to much of her music, but I like her as a personality.
She's interesting. Ocean Eyes is a good song. You should listen to that.
I've listened to the is it like I'm Bad or something? I'm the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy.
I've listened to Bad Guy a couple times, but that's about it.
That song is odd. You got to have the volume really loud, or you won't hear it very well.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it's been 15 minutes. Let's talk about the pear or the peach.
Yeah,
not yet. A couple things I wanted. Because I want to say it's before the peach is when she meets up with Ludo, which is the big orange Goliath-looking thing. It looks like a big dog.
At the same time she's meeting up with Ludo, Jareth, who is the Goblin King, David Bowie's Jareth, is giving Hoggle the peach. That happens at the same time.
Yeah.
I might have the movie.
All I saw was Snow White. And also, there is a copy of Snow White in her bedroom.
Yeah.
Which
basically the entire movie can be built from her bedroom in the beginning.
Her bedroom, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know until after we watched it the second time through with the commentary or something.
I like Ludo.
It was behind the scenes. He acts like I forced him to do these things.
Meanwhile, like I was wanting to do it, but I just couldn't find it. Then she comes from
it's on Blu-ray.
I don't have a Blu-ray player because I'm living in the year 2010.
I watched it on YouTube.
PS4?
No, I don't have a PS4. I have an Xbox 360.
Oh.
I have an Xbox One controller for my computer. Look, it's 2004 and Alien Ant Farm is cool as hell, so that's where that's basically my mentality at all times.
I do like the scene with Ludo. Like I also really like the little goblins that are poking at Ludo. I don't think these were on the. Can't remember if these goblins were on the little dinosaurs that Tiffany kept calling Yoshis.
They're vaguely Yoshi-like. Yeah, it's the same guys. It's like the Goblin Guard.
I like them. They had the little like red helmets and everything. I really like those helmets.
Yeah, they're kind of like this equivalent. They're the equivalent of the like cards from Alice in Wonderland. The card soldiers, the card knight. which like the Night of Clubs.
That's a good point. I mean, that's probably what they were kind of maybe going for, because they do kind of have that look of them.
Yeah, I like they don't have spears. They're like whacking at Ludo, and it looks like they have spears at first, and it like zooms in, and you realize that it's like these little tiny assholes holding onto the end of a pole that fight.
Little tiny assholes.
Yeah,
you don't go with monsters. You don't go with rats. You don't go with dinosaurs. Little assholes fighting them.
No, they're little assholes. You know why they're little assholes? Is because they look just like they look so close to like Critters to me. If anyone's ever seen the movie Critters, Critters, or like what was the movie with the Furby looking things? Why am I having a stroke right now?
But these
gremlins, yeah, the
don't have fur.
They're
thank
like
you, Helena. You couldn't hear me apparently, so thank you.
I was having a stroke for a brief second.
Stroke.
I heard.
I got tired of my voice. You hear it too much. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, I just tuned out. No, they look like Critters, or like the evil gremlin. I almost forgot the name of it again. The evil gremlins that like lose all their fur, become little assholes. How else would you describe an evil gremlin? It's a little asshole.
I would just call it a gremlin.
Nah,
evil doesn't need to be put in front of the word gremlin. You say gremlin, you think evil.
Because
no, there's
mogwais.
Because
mogwais and assholes.
They're mogwais and they're gremlins, so it's mogwais.
Not gremlins anymore. They're just assholes.
Got mogwais and assholes, and those are the two characters in the movie Gremlins. I will not hear anything else from it.
I do like it when she rescues Ludo from the assholes, and he's like scared of her at first, which makes sense. He was just rescued by someone. He's getting little assholes are biting him. I mean, it makes sense.
He is the gentle giant. He is the quintessential gentle. That's a hard thing to say. He is the quintessential gentle giant.
That's hard to say. I like that his power is he can summon rock.
The rocks are his friends.
That didn't dawn on me until this most recent playthrough. I'm like, oh. Didn't. I mean, I did not. When we watched this movie before, when I worked at the Mall America, it never dawned on me that he was the one calling the rocks.
Like, I like
really?
Yeah.
Like it's a game. Ludo might be my favorite, like of all like the side characters in the movie. Though I like him so much. Where she's like, "Don't worry, I'm friends with we can be friends." And he's like, "Sarah, friend," and he just wants to help. He's just happy that she saved him, and he's just along for the ride.
I mean, it kind of fits that theme too. What's going on in the movie? She's trying to find friends and trying to build relationship with people, and sometimes it's hard to connect with people. I guess. I mean, maybe that's what they were going for.
In terms of Spirited Away, he would be No Face after No Face Calm Down.
After No Face Calm Down.
She pulled the thing out of his body or whatever it was.
Yeah, after No Face recovered from being no chill. That's what Ludo is. Yeah, she pulls the cold out.
And I want to
like
say,
something.
Is it coming up soon, or at least where we're at? Is the next part the bog, or is it the part where she runs into the really stupid puppets with that throw their heads around?
How dare you?
I hate those damn things. I hate the fireys.
At this point in the movie, she's walking along. We're almost there. She's walking along, and Ludo falls through like a hole in the forest. And then she comes across the fireys, which is what they're called.
Fireys are so stupid.
It's stupid.
I love
them.
It is a very strange, like, even for this is a very strange section where it's like, all right, like, we're gonna take a break from everything and just do like this weird reggae song and dance that has no bearing.
It doesn't need to be in the movie. If you took out that scene, I would like this movie more if she just skipped all of that, because the song annoys me, the puppets annoy me, they're dancing around, throwing their head annoyed me. We got to that part, and I just looked at Tiff. I'm like, this doesn't need to be here. This is making me irritated.
I like that part, but I like the train part from Spirited Away, where it's like the exact same thing in the middle of the movie. We're just gonna take a break from the rest of the movie and just just have you calm down a bit. And the way they do that is like, we're gonna have this weird reggae section.
It's an amazing movie,
but yeah, that's I think to me is the weakest part of the movie, not because of the song, not because of the fireys, but because it's, for whatever reason, the rest of the movie is all practical aside from the owl, and this part is like it's puppets done on blue screen with like CGI effects thrown in.
Black Velvet, but whatever.
Or sorry, Black Velvet. This is before blue screen. It's done on Black Velvet.
This was before blue screen.
Well, there's a reason we switched to blue screen and eventually green screen, is because it's hard to key things out on black, and it's very evident in this scene where everything looks For 1886, this was really impressive.
1886.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it's.
You're off there. But
1986.
I just caught
Sorry,
that.
yeah. 1986. Sorry, I'm
only
doing
want facts on this podcast. Only facts.
I'm working on a project with like another company that was formed in 1886, and so I keep thinking about that in my head. That's actually something else I'm working on. This movie was 1986, and for 1986, it was kind of impressive. But now it's just like, holy shit, this looks god awful. Like they start playing around with like perspective in it, where the heads are being thrown into the foreground and background, and it's like they clearly hadn't figured out the technology quite yet.
I think you need to go back and watch Blade 2, and then you'll think, okay, this was amazing.
Yeah,
the CGI in Blade 2 is terrible.
This is the Blade 1 of Jim Henson movies. Do you think the CGI in Blade 2 was bad? Go watch Blade 1.
I like Blade 1.
Yeah, but the CGI is awful, you have to admit.
I'm better with it.
Like blood starts flying around the room and everyone turns into rubber, and it's like, what is happening?
My lord!
I see no evil. I love that movie, but that's another time.
Blade 1 before Matrix, though, so it's worth noting that Blade 1 was a trendsetter. But and first black superhero movie, so pretty impressive. But
really good movie too.
But the CGI still sucks.
All right. Anything else? Anything else I want to say about the Fireys? I know that because Tiffany can take this part. That they were having a problem one of the scenes.
It looked like they were having problems with the entire scene.
Yeah, she can tell you.
They're having trouble. It took like 4 of them to just puppet to do one Fiery, and they throw their heads. And the Kevin Cash, who does Elmo, was one of the Fireys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think I watched the documentary just on him, and he said he almost got fired because he couldn't do the scene properly.
Oh.
Can you imagine if Jim Henson fired Elmo?
It was like, you get this right on the next take, or we're figuring something else out.
Oh,
you got it right the next take.
Suddenly, Elmo.
Right.
Can you imagine like he fucked it up and Jim Henson was just like, "That's it, I'm killing Elmo." Elmo is off Sesame Street.
Or Elmo.
Oh, and before we move past these Fireys, I do have one question. Helena, you said you like this part?
Yes, but if you asked me to defend why I like it, I could not do that.
You don't have to. If you like it, you like it. I'm glad to know that somebody wasn't deeply hurt and found it was dumb. So hey, that's good.
I like the idea of it.
They're so cute.
But you also like bad movies, so your opinion doesn't matter.
I like bad movies, though. Yeah, but I'm aware enough to know the reason I like bad movies is because they're bad. I like bad movies.
You like the holiday special.
Yeah, but I like that in the same way that people like Love Island. Where it's trash, but it's funny trash.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Have you played the Love Island mobile game? It's actually surprisingly good.
I haven't, and now I want to. So please send me the link.
Okay. It's exactly as trashy as the Love Island show, but like sometimes the writing will go off in these weird tangents where they're just like are they talking about safe sex in a really self-aware segment right now? I think they are. I think this game is teaching me things.
Is this one of those weird interactive games where you choose your story or something?
It's kind of. It's like the best version of a dating game.
Okay, I just pulled it up and I see a bunch of half-naked, sexy people, and I'm like...
That's Love Island, baby.
Half-naked, sexy people.
Yeah, they're a little bit more than half-naked. Like, they put some detail into, like, the bodies and that, and it's really funny. Just because that's what Love Island is. It's the hottest people in the world going to an island, and not even an island, just going to a mansion and saying the stupidest shit. And you're like, man, I really hope like Jessica wins. She's the least stupid of all the stupid people.
It's like The Bachelor. It's incredible.
Yeah, except they talk about like what their favorite number is.
Their favorite number.
There's a whole clip of Love Island where they're talking about their favorite number, and it's like a significant conversation where they're like, oh my god, like my favorite number is like 11 because like my favorite number is really like 1, but 1 is like so lonely, and 11 is like 2 ones next to each other, so it's like less lonely, and so that's why 11 is like my favorite number.
Oh my god.
That's a 20-minute conversation, and it's fucking phenomenal. It's so good.
Did that person win?
No, she didn't win, I don't think.
I've just decided that my favorite number is now 11.
It's great. And you
it
watch
makes
it,
so much sense, though.
These
Doesn't
people
it
are
make so much
dumb,
sense?
and I want them to win so badly.
amazing.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Love Island, baby.
I don't either, but I'm joining the conversation.
I will warn you right now, if you start watching Love Island, the first 10 minutes, you're going to be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And for whatever reason, you will just not be able to stop watching it after that. And it will ruin your dialogue. It will ruin your ability to speak like a normal person, because you'll start saying
oh my God.
Worse than that, because this is like the thickest British accents you've ever heard, mixed with like their version of modern slang. So they don't say like, I'm gonna go flirt with this guy. They're like, oh my God, like we're gonna go have a chat. How's this chat? Is this chat good? I like his chat.
Sounds terrible.
Like he's so
Let's
fit,
watch
but he's
him,
so
Mike.
bad at chat. All right, like he's the fittest, but like his chat is so bad, and I can't. I don't know. He doesn't even like 11.
Is it streaming somewhere so I can torture my husband with it?
It's I watched a little bit of it because we have some BBC channels, there's some British channels. But
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu and it streams online too. Like it's like a Big Brother where they have like the 24-hour stream.
Oh God.
I guess our Hulu just got canceled. It sounds like.
So yeah, the 24-hour stream is up. But
okay.
Anyway,
Can you circle back?
One
circle
part
back to this.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is when she goes to the swamp, the bog of stench.
Yes.
I like the bog. I like how the whole puddles are like farting all everywhere, and it just
Look like little anuses.
Yeah.
I was gonna go there, but it did.
It's an allegory
funny
for
to me.
IBS.
Well, it's like
Sorry,
I was trying to think about like what that related to like a teenager, and then I just stopped thinking about it because I didn't want to delve into that any further.
No, that's not. It's not.
Like, but it is such a teenage thing to be afraid of, though. Like, oh my God, do I smell bad?
Stinking?
Like, I really hope I don't smell bad. And it's, if you fall in, you'll smell bad forever.
That's the threat. Like the punishment is a throw. I think when the punishment he threatens Hoggle that David Bowie does, that he'll throw him in there into the like thing if he doesn't help her.
Hoggle kind of has
punishment.
He's got like I don't want to call it like a romantic thing, but like Jareth is like stop helping her, and if she kisses you, I'll make you a prince. And he's like, a prince? He's like, the Prince of Stench. He disappears. It's a great line.
See, I forgot about that.
You need those moments though of David Bowie saying these like really like funny lines to balance out how fucking creepy he is.
Creepy it is.
We're not to the peach yet.
No, he's given him the peach, and so Hoggle like keeps looking at it repeatedly throughout all these scenes of like, should I give it to her? I don't know what to do. Yeah, he gives Hoggle the peach before the Bog of Stench section, and Hoggle just has it, and he's like, give her this. What does he tell him? He's like, give her this, and does he say that she'll go to sleep or something, or does he just give him the peach and tell him to give it to Sarah?
I think he just says give it to her. I just watched this today and I can't remember.
I can't remember his exact wording, but he's like, yeah, you have to give this peach to Sarah. And he's like, will it hurt her? And he kind of like brushes him off, I think. And so Hoggle keeps like, he's like holding onto this peach and looking at it and being like, I don't know if I should give it to her. I don't want to give it to her. I don't know.
And there's a couple times where he's like, here, just have this. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. I like that Hoggle has this like his little moral quandary in there. Like, what should I do? He's a coward, but he wants to help Sarah. Like, she's his friend. He's never had a friend before. It's like a really, really nice little character.
Yep.
But
just go through some development.
This is after the forest, so Ludo has fallen through the hole, and then Hoggle meets back up with Sarah. He like helps her out of the fiery forest, and then they immediately fall into the Bog of Stench, and they're like on a precipice. And this is where they get reintroduced to Ludo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Would you think like the whole time is like looking over the Bog of Stench, but then they fall on to Ludo?
It's a very Monty Python-esque comedy bit. Where they're like, oh no, we're gonna die! And they fall in.
Poor Ludo.
And then this is where you come across the character that Mike likes.
Who? The dog?
The fox. Don't you like the fox? I thought you said you liked the fox.
I like the dog. I like dog.
Okay. Well, there's a dog and a fox.
I like dogs that come to their owners.
That's Sir Didymus to you.
Poor dog.
Sir Didymus.
Sir Didymus.
And then what's his dog's name? Ambrosia? No.
Ambrosius.
Ambrosius.
Who is just her dog.
Yeah.
It's like,
but
which
that's
also
not
kind
her
of
dog's name though.
yeah, like, but
But it
just
is
funny.
her dog.
It's just her exact dog, and at no point does she go like, "Hey, that looks like my dog." I can't remember the name of her dog. Does anyone remember the name of her dog? Merlin. It's Merlin, of course.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm on. Say Lancelot the bear.
Lancelot's the bear. I don't know how I forgot because the whole thing is very like Arthurian. So of course the dog's name is Merlin.
We didn't talk about the magic dance scene.
We didn't actually.
That was like we completely skipped over it because it's already passed at this point.
Yeah, that's very early. That's another weird scene in the movie that just doesn't need to be there, but it's just like, okay, sure, like David Bowie's just kind of like a weird dude.
I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't like that song.
Really? Yeah, you are. You're the only one. I'm not even gonna like pretend there are others.
Dance magic.
I would take the Fireys over that song again.
That's surprising. I like I'm with you on the Fiery song. I like the Fiery song, but Dance Magic Dance is just so fun.
Good song. I like the entire scene. I like it.
I think that's another one of those instances in the movie where they're tricking you into liking David Bowie.
Yeah.
Although he is so bad with the baby in that section. He's like throwing the baby like 10 feet in the air and shaking it all over the place.
Yeah.
The baby
that wasn't a real baby.
Yeah. I love that he is like, this is kind of the only part of the movie where it gives you like David Bowie on his own, not thinking about Sarah. It's just like, this is how his character exists. And it's just him sitting on this throne, like bored out of his mind, surrounded by all these asshole goblins. It's just like, that's the only part of the movie that makes me like, if that part of the movie wasn't in there, then I would say 100% this movie is definitely a dream. But because that scene happens and Sarah is not involved in it, then I can't 100% say the movie's a dream.
Oh,
but he's singing about her, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
but
saying the babe with the power.
Yeah, but how would she know that though?
I mean,
unless she's dreaming that he's doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. But typically, if you have a movie where, if you have a story where everything is a dream, then you're
in it.
Yeah, you're bound by the narrator having to be an active presence at all time.
Is this a rule? I haven't heard of this rule.
It's like an unspoken rule. Like,
okay,
you can't, if a character's dreaming, then you can't show something that the character wouldn't know, because how would they know about that to dream about it?
I don't know.
Which fits
It's a
this
dream.
movie.
I mean, you can do that, but it's bad storytelling, and I don't think this movie has bad storytelling in itself.
No.
I don't want to credit it as that.
It's Jim Henson, so no.
Yeah, but that song is also kind of important, that with the babe with the power, you realize that it's like the first hint that Sarah might have some like ability or strength to her that that David Bowie's kind of afraid of, or that might challenge him in some way later on.
Okay, I didn't think about that. That's a very good
thought
observation.
about that either.
I think a lot of people overlook that, but yeah, just the simple line of like, what babe? The babe with the power of voodoo. And everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a great song, but no one ever goes like, wait, she has the power of voodoo? What? That never came up before.
I never really thought about that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And now
if you are in a dream, you have the power over the dream because you're the dreamer.
Yes.
Also.
So that would lead credence to that, but she wouldn't know that, so I don't think I'm on the fence. I don't think this movie is a dream. I don't know if it actually happened. I don't know if that's like the angle they're going for, but I don't think it's a full dream. So.
I got nothing.
It's a strong argument.
But anyway, we have Sir Didymus, who's the most Monty Python character ever.
I never got that because I never watched Monty Python, but I do see what you mean now. You bring it up.
He is a fox that is a knight. That is like, his job is to watch this bridge in the bog of Stint. And it's never really explained if like Jareth put him there or if he just lives there, or like at some point. I like to think that at some point years ago he tripped over the bridge or something happened on the bridge that just angered him, and so he made this ridiculous rule for himself. He was like, I'll make sure that no one crosses this bridge ever again. But I like that's such a simple solution to that, where like he fights with Ludo for a little bit and Sarah's like, stop, like, why can't we trust this bridge? And he's like, well, I'm sworn to protect it. It's my sacred vow. And she's like, what exactly is your sacred vow? And he's like, well, that no one can cross my bridge without permission. She's like, whose permission?
We have your permission.
Yeah, I've never thought to give it before.
It's a good scene.
It's great.
Like, it made me smile. Like,
it's a great way to like add Didymus to the party.
He's a cute character. I like him.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm strong and I'm courageous and
yeah, he's just
I'm brave.
He's like, he is the, I was about to say the Oedipus Rex, not the Oedipus Rex. He's the Don Quixote of the movie. He's constantly trying to fight windmills.
Okay, we can go with that.
I just love him. Just come along with you. Me.
It does fit it. Like, he's just a character that, you know, he's trying to help them, but he's not like the best character at fighting or anything. But
no, he's just totally self-absorbed and thinks he's the best.
Come along, Ambrosius.
And now we can talk about the peach. This is where the peach happens.
Okay, I hate this part.
Okay.
The other part I would cut out of the movie if I could.
I would not cut this out of the movie because it adds so much context to the movie that this changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, it seems kind of. Well, I mean, when you think about the fact that, you know, I keep thinking that it's her mother's new boyfriend in a way, so it gets weird. But it's like her fantasy is to be dancing with him, because I want to say when she eats the peach, it's all her fantasy that she's dreaming.
Well, let's explain the scene to give some context.
I guess that would help, huh?
Yeah, because it's very strange. They're walking, like, they're past the stench. They're just walking. They're all like saying like they're hungry. There's no food around, and Hoggle is like, all I have. Hoggle's just finally, he gives him. He's like, well, you can have this peach. And he's kind of like not wanting to give it to her, but she just grabs it out of his hand. She's like, thanks, Hoggle, and takes a bite. And the part where she says, this tastes funny, oh, Hoggle, what did you do? Is so fucking, that like hits me so hard every time. I don't know what it is about that.
She does it so well.
Yeah, it's just like the pure betrayal of it, where she's like, oh, Hoggle, what did you do? And falls over. And it's just like, oh, Hoggle, what the fuck did you just do, Hoggle? God damn it,
Snow White. That's what he did.
She was 15, and that was like the best acting in this. Like, that was some of the best acting.
She does just fine in this movie. Like, she's great. A very good actress, and they even say that in the behind the scenes that she did a very good job listening to cues and going along with what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Hoggle, what did you do? It's just
everything about that scene is creepy. The Hoggle poisoning her, her waking up in a weird masquerade ball type where everyone's wearing masks except for her and Goblin David Bowie.
And they're all adults. She's the only child there. Everyone else is an adult in like a masquerade ball. And she doesn't have a mask. And David Bowie doesn't have a mask. And he's like approaching her from the other side of the room and like talking about how he only wants to dance with her. And it's so disturbing.
Yeah, it gets even, like I said, when you realize he's in the book, everything in this movie just gets that much more creepy.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions of...
I keep thinking that way, and I don't like that I keep thinking that way, but I can't stop.
Well, that's why a lot of people...
I ruined it once I told him that.
You did? Well, spoiler alert, not the biggest fan of this movie in the first place, but...
Well, that's why a lot of people...
forget you, then. You're sleeping on the couch.
I think this scene really more than anything else cements this as why people ascribe that this movie is like, it's a coming of age movie, but it also is like a representation of like a sexual assault or something happening to her when she was younger with this man who was dating her mother. Because it's just
very well could have.
There's so much like subtext happening that
it just makes it even more horrifying in ways that like. I don't want to go too far into that, but
it's hard with that knowledge. It's hard to watch this scene and not feel just some kind of like disturbed, like legitimately disturbed.
As you were saying earlier, I mean, as we kind of had discussed that he is like an abusive character, like an abusive person, because this is also when he's starting to kind of show a different side. Like he's trying to, yes, I tricked you, yes, I cut the time, but now I'm being nice to you. Now I'm dancing with you. I'm doing this, and it's like that. You know, here I've been an asshole to you, but here's just a little bit of, you know, like I can be nice to you if you just do what I want type of thing. And that's
love me.
Yeah, but there's a word for that. What is that? It's
abusive, toxic.
Well, no, there's a word for within abusive relationships, periods of
love bombing.
Love bombing. That's it. Yes.
Thank you, Helena.
Yeah. This is like he has like the abusive moments, and this is like I'll always love you. I'll always protect you. Like, that's not really me.
This movie so much creepier in a way that it wasn't before we started recording this to me.
No, like I said, it's legitimately disturbing. It is downright like hard to watch at times once you start thinking of the movie in that way, because it fits so well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if that's what they're really going for. I'm assuming because it's too obvious. It feels as you dig into it too obvious.
He was going for something like that. I don't think quite as intense, but something like that.
It's kind of like it's kind of like Hot Fuzz, where Hot Fuzz came out before a lot of allegations of like police brutality like really started like regaining stride for the first time in a long time. And like Hot Fuzz, when it came out, was like, okay, like this was meant to be a movie to take back the like idea of a good police officer, to take it back from gangster movies. That was Edgar Wright's goal in it. And then after all the like massive allegations of police brutality, the movie takes on a completely different like narrative where it's just like, okay, like it's kind of like the same thing. Like, even if this isn't what Jim Henson was going for directly, even if this isn't what Terry Jones was going for, that's kind of what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the art has changed. It has been subjected to a new viewpoint.
Absolutely. I think so like the other part that kind of disturbs me about this scene is that she looks like a child bride.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh,
She got the white dress on.
Kicking this.
I'm sorry, but it's
no, you're okay. I like it.
It's hard. Like, it's hard to see her in very grown-up makeup and with the big poofy white dress, and for some reason it kind of reminds me of White Wedding.
Yeah.
Billy Idol.
The Billy Idol song.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the scariest part is that, like, because you're with Sarah at this, like, you've been following Sarah for almost the entire movie, so like she's the protagonist, she's the one you're kind of with the entire movie, and there's a part of that scene where she is like, this is what I've always wanted, and it's like, no, get out, stop. I
wasn't okay with that part either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm
now even more not okay with this part.
It's like, I want to grow up, because that's kind of like every kid wants to like be an adult and aspire to be an adult, and it's like, she's like, this is what my idea of adulthood is like, and it's like, no. I love the part where she's like starts walking away, and David Bowie just like, you see like a real anger in him. Like, David Bowie is such a good actor. You see like a real anger in him as she's walking away, and she gets the chair and shatters the crystal ball that she's inside. It's just like, it's so like relieving to be like, yes, okay, finally we're out of that scene, thank God.
Which also kind of feels like it also makes sense that she's shattering the illusion of what this guy is trying to expose her to, or this person.
And the crystal balls have been like his kind of, that's like kind of David Bowie's power in this like universe, is illusion. Like he throws the crystal ball at her in the beginning and it turns into the snake.
I mean, it could be kind of said that somebody that is, snake, lying,
it's lies. I mean, that's his power. He's got the power of lying.
I mean, that's kind of what someone that is abusive, that is their power in a sense.
Yeah, it's control.
Usually,
it's all he's got control over. I like that.
Man, this went a lot darker than I thought this episode was going to go, by the way.
Really? We're talking about Labryinth.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I couldn't find
it. You watched the movie, remember?
Yeah, but I wasn't even though my brain does tend to go in certain places, it didn't completely go as far as it is since we've been talking.
People like how
we have to keep giving Helena like really dark episodes and then really like joyful episodes. The first episode Helena was on was like Majora's Mask, and we talked about depression for 2 hours.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, then Penumbra Overture. Oh.
I feel like the next time Helena's on, we need to do like Animal Crossing.
We're doing Heavy Rain.
Animal Crossing.
Next time we're doing Heavy Rain. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
God damn it.
I love it.
I'm sorry.
Matter.
All right. The next time Helena's on, we'll do like a Yoshi game.
Yeah.
Mario 64.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation.
We do need to do that.
I feel like I could find a way to more really dark. But yeah, we're out. She shattered the crystal ball. She shattered the illusion. David Bowie this is kind of like the like shifting of power in the movie, where like she's shattered the illusion. She travels into the junkyard, and David Bowie is like kind of lost and doesn't have a exact solution anymore. He's kind of losing control.
She's still sort of out of it. She doesn't remember.
Yes, which
she doesn't remember her baby brother yet.
Yeah, she forgets literally everything.
Yeah.
Which is also very
I forgot about that.
creepy because it's the whole drugging aspect of it. It just kind of like cements that as yes, she was drugged.
Yep. And then the junk lady comes along.
The junk lady comes along to give us a breath of fresh air, make us all laugh again for a minute.
But that scene is like kind of dark too.
It is. It's dark, but it's like I don't know. It's dark, but it's still like more lighthearted dark. I guess.
It is than the ballroom scene, but you get the junk lady in there like, here, don't remember what you're here for. Have your toys, have your dolly, have this. And it always made me laugh how she was always like giving her the side eye, like the way she like shift her eyes over.
Every time she hands her something, she's like, oh, but like, I don't play with this anymore. And he's like, well, forget that. Take this toy. And she's like, I don't really think about this toy all that much. Well, forget that. Here's your journal. Don't you like your journal?
You need your slippers.
You need your slippers. Your don't forget your sad panda slippers. Doesn't she call them the sad panda slippers or something?
I think so.
Yeah. I can't sad panda slippers.
I remember the scene, but I don't remember slippers at all.
I love how that, like, she's in her room and everything gets like torn apart. I love that effect.
You thought it was the dream, and then the junk lady ruined all that.
Yeah, she walks in, the junk lady storms in the room like, I'm here, hon. I'm still here. Can't get rid of me.
The dream within a dream?
The walls being torn down and like the junk pouring in. I don't know. Something about that effect is so cool to me. Like the room is being torn apart around her, but it's being torn out. Like it's so I don't know. I need to watch behind the scenes to see how they did that because that's so cool.
I don't know if they mentioned that. I can tell you how the junk lady is puppeted though.
Just 20 people stacked on top of each other.
It's a normal sized person, and her head is like in the top of the pile of junk. Okay. And she has a camera where she can see where she's going.
Wow.
And that's how, and she said she had like a big screen and a camera, and she said why she was shuffling was because she had so much of this crap she had to drag around with her.
That might be one of my favorite puppets in the movie. It reminds me of the Happy Mask salesman from Majora's Mask.
It really does.
All that crap piled on her back, like she looks like a turtle. She's got just the like all the junk that she's like. It looks like she's just like thrown it onto her back to hold onto it. It's great.
It took me watching it recently to realize there is more than just that one junk person. That they're all like everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It's. I don't know. I was gonna say it reminds me of like the Matrix, but I don't know if I can explain why.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Explain.
Like in the Matrix when it does that shot of Neo in the goo at the beginning, and it's got all the squid robots just going around checking on everything and like picking shit up. Something about that scene like reminded me of that, seeing all the junk people walking around just like picking through the trash. But it's not trash. It's kind of implied to be like stuff that people have like lost too.
Yeah,
because there is a lot of garbage and like things of that nature.
You know what it is? There's an episode of Fairly Odd Parents that I don't know if anyone else remembers. There's an episode of Fairly Odd Parents where Timmy is like he keeps losing his socks, and so Wanda and Cosmo are like, well, let's just go to like the island of lost items. And so they go to this island where all this junk is laying around, and there's like I think Jurgen von Strongman, whatever his name is there for some reason.
I do not recall that.
He says something. Flashbacks. There's some funny line where like it gets really serious, and Jurgen is like, look upon the island of lost items. Everything you have ever lost is here. You have lost so much, Timmy. It's just like, what? What the fuck is his name? There'll be some younger viewers who remember Fairly Odd Parents. Anyone who's
I remember it. I just don't know his name.
It's Jurgen von Strangle. Jurgen von Strangle.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my.
He's like he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger fairy. I am a fairy godfather. Come, we will have fun.
I will grant your wishes.
This is a rabbit hole.
items.
Yeah.
Yes, let's
Anyway.
climb back up.
Climb back
Oh
up.
no, I
Yeah,
meant
that's fine.
my Google search later will be a rabbit hole.
Oh,
as
Oh,
I
I
dig into the
The main thing I remember
That's funny.
the main thing I remember about Jorgen von Strangle is when he's doing the stand up and somebody's like, I get it. And he's like, yes, that is the joke. And then Cosmo says he has a 5 head and everyone laughs.
Okay, I want
Oh.
to say one of the next things that comes up is when they get to that big gate with the giant troll-looking thing.
Yeah, the thing from Skyrim.
I never played Skyrim, but I really like it when they get to this gate and you see like this giant golem that comes out, and the whole behind the scenes of how they created that. We're gonna say a golem. It isn't. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's really cool because it's a real metal thing, robot-like thing that they built in '86.
20 feet
And-
tall or whatever.
Really cool.
His
It
name
is,
is Humongous.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I was gonna say Gigantor. That's kind of close, isn't it?
Gotta transform.
did they say the name in the movie, or is that just like background?
They do in the wiki.
Oh,
They do it.
this is one of the few movies where the few things we've talked about where I don't have a wiki open. I'm just on the Wikipedia page. Hey, that's
have
just so I can
Wikipedia
hold on to the
page open.
plot.
It's a lot of plot. There's
Yeah.
a lot of turns to it.
Usually I have to.
because it's right after the guard. But the one thing important about the gate guard is that Hoggle, I think, comes back and comes to the rescue, and it's kind of him redeeming himself because
Yeah.
he realized he fucked up.
Yeah,
He led her into a trap.
yeah. Didymus and Ludo like team back up with her when her room is getting torn apart. They like fall into the room. They're like, Lady Sarah, you're here.
They pull
Come
her
save
out. They
you."
pull her out of the chaos.
Yeah,
or the
I like that. Didymus is
illusion
like,
or-
Didymus is like, don't worry, I've saved you, and it's like, no, she just did everything by herself, dude. You
She
just
saved
happened to show up at the end.
Which I
But,
like
uh,
that. You know, it's showing that she's escaping her own, like she's escaping without needing someone to help her.
She's the babe with the power. She's gaining control.
You know, that song all of a sudden makes so much more sense, and also in
Yeah.
a creepy way. You think she's the babe, and she's 14, and he's calling her the babe. It just makes it even extra creepy. But you know,
Just wait. At the end, I'm gonna take all this darkness. I'm gonna turn it into a real positive. Just wait. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's when Hoggle's like running along the top of the wall, which I don't know how he got up there, but he's running along the wall and jumping down on the mech. And it's just like this. I was not expecting this in this movie.
I wasn't expecting it to be like powered by another little goblin.
everything's powered by a little goblin, though.
Yeah,
I,
I guess you're right.
I need to somebody needs to go to Bethesda and ask them questions because there is an enemy in Bethesda in Skyrim that is very, very similar to Humongous.
I was like Bethesda.
The enemy in Bethesda in that company is themselves when they do dumb things.
Yes.
Like when they released Doom and had you sign in to play an offline game. You know, things like that.
But Steam used to do that. It was really fucking stupid. But yeah, there's an enemy in Skyrim that's like a big dwarven I think it's called a Centurion, and it has like the same entrance as the one in this. Aside from the one cool thing I love about this is that the doors close and both halves of the robot are on either side of the door and it forms
Mhm.
together. That's so cool. Do you know who thought of that? Because that's like
That was Jim Henson.
that seems like something like straight out of a nightmare.
One day he was like, "We need a 20-foot metal robot man," and they were like, "Okay."
You got it, Chief.
Does that technically make Labyrinth a mech movie?
I'm gonna
like-
say no.
It's like Iron Blooded Orphans, Labyrinth, like same genre. I'm gonna start saying that. I'm gonna start saying Labyrinth is my favorite Gundam movie.
Oh my god.
It technically has a Gundam in it.
Gundam, I suppose.
I like how Hoggle just like rips the fucking pilot out of it and like throws him 20 feet to the ground. He just gets up like you prick and runs off.
He's like, "Ah."
And then, but I can't remember what happens like where it starts blowing up. Is it just Hoggle fucking up like the controls where it just starts collapsing in on itself?
He doesn't know how to do it, so he tries to pilot it and it blows up.
Credit to Sarah for being so forgiving for Hoggle, where like he shows up and he's just like, I'm so sorry. Like, but he says something like, I don't expect you to forgive me. But he says something weird where it's like, I won't apologize as I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm taking full responsibility. It's a very odd way of phrasing it, but it's like, I guess that's kind of the way you're supposed to do it. I don't know. It doesn't sound, it's not an apology, but Sarah's just like, I forgive you. And he's like, why? I don't understand. I'm just like,
I don't think Hoggle knows how to be a friend and how to like really apologize. But the fact that someone was willing to forgive him, like really kind of lends itself. Yeah, totally.
It's
There
like,
was probably his first friend.
well, it was his first friend. He talks about that. He's like, I've never had a friend before. He's in many ways, Hoggle is like, he's like Dobby the house elf, but a little bit more badass. No one's ever given Hoggle a sock before.
Hoggle free.
Hoggle is a free goblin.
Is Hoggle supposed to be a goblin?
Yeah, he's a goblin.
Okay.
I think for the most
Like a
part,
hybrid, I think.
between goblin and I don't know.
I don't know.
I just assumed he's a full goblin, but
I don't know. He's
I
kind of bigger than a lot of the other goblins, though.
I always
He
have
also
the question.
kills fairies. So doesn't that make him evil?
Well, I think that makes him like essentially their version of like the Ghostbusters. How they're just like it's in a very bizarre world, but at the
Okay, I couldn't hear for a second.
Okay, neither could I.
No, I can hear you guys. I
Okay.
lost y'all
Good.
too.
It wasn't just me. Oh my gosh.
No.
All right, but one scene that I definitely want to mention that I think I had the most enjoyment out of this scene. Second was the bog, but this was my favorite. Is when you have the whole battle, and there's one part that confuses me when they get into the town and the groups of soldiers and goblins all come up riding Yoshis. And there's a scene where both the goblins charge each other, and I was just like, why are they charging each other? Why aren't they charging her? But I think it's just was a bad angle or something, or it was just my brain, not, or they're idiots. I'm not one of those three. But that whole scene when they're running through the town and you have cannons going off, and then eventually you have Ludo singing and all the rock buddies come chasing after the goblins. I love this scene. Like, this is, especially when you watch this point in 1.5 times speed, it is great. It just makes complete sense. Everybody's moving fast. It was, we saw right before we did this recording. I was just like, this is how the movie should have been right here. It made it all that much better.
okay, this part is gonna be so hard for you to edit, Mike. But I just lost everybody now, and I'm back.
I'm talking about in the town when they're all fighting.
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
keep
the
going.
whole battle.
And then you have the scene with Sir Dinofist or Sir Arrogant Fox sitting on the beautiful puppy. Yeah, Sir Arrogant.
Sir Dino Fist is the coolest character name ever. I am Sir Dino Fist.
Oh dear.
Oh god, why is my brain going places? Okay,
it's like that's a 12-year-old's idea of the best thing ever. Like they're like it's a 12-year-old's original character, Sir Dino Fist.
I did want to say really quickly, I'm not sure if you can use this, but I did just Google Didymus because I was curious, and I know that I've heard that word before. It's a male gonad. It's the egg-shaped gland found within the scrotum, also called a testicle.
Shut up.
Wow, it just gets weirder and weirder, huh?
Oh.
To give the other side of that, Didymus was also the alternate name for one of Jesus's apostles. So I don't know which of those it's referencing, but I'm guessing it wasn't the testicle one.
So speaking of the battle,
But
speaking of Sir Arrogant Testicle, like there's a part where they surround him, a bunch of the goblins too, and he's like, I have you surrounded, and he's all confident, he's all arrogant. That was funny. That made me laugh. And then I think they run into each other or something stupid. But just even, and after I watched the behind the scenes of how that whole battle plays out, and some of those goblins are midgets that are in costumes, and the way they did everything is so midgets. It's just so cool. It is such a cool scene, like everything. And you have so many puppets and characters running around. I mean, and they're destroying the set too, I feel, with their fake rocks and their fake explosions.
I learned today that Warwick Davis is two of those goblins.
Really? I did not know that.
Only two of them.
I'm surprised I didn't know that because I love Warwick Davis and always excited to see him show up in things. But he doesn't really show up in, I guess, his face doesn't show up, so I guess that's why.
No, he's got like people puppeteering his head.
I had to look up real quick because
is he the one inside the metal suit that's shooting?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Specific.
That scene.
Oh, you're talking about like the
up.
cannon.
The cannon scene.
Yeah.
And there's a part where they have the cannon. It's shooting cannonballs, and the rock falls on it. And I think he says, "I'm okay." And all I could think of was that scene from Turtles where they're like, no, he's not dead. He's breathing. I know we just killed him, but he's breathing. He's breathing, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah,
That's all I could think
They
about.
had 80 yard in. I like there's a shot where there's a literal shot, but there's a scene in the movie where it's like a very quick cut where it shows the cannon go off and it shows a rock being blown up. And for like the briefest of seconds, it's played as like the most serious shot. It's like something out of a war movie. And it's just one quick cut that doesn't fit. And I find it so funny. It's like a rock exploding. And I would expect the next scene to be like somebody going like, no.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Fun fact, because I had to look it up. Didymus was Thomas the Apostle, who's more famous. Yes. Well, he's more famously known as Doubting Thomas, which I don't know why Didymus would be named after Doubting Thomas. If anyone should be named that, it should be Hoggle.
I agree.
I also think
there's nothing about Didymus that says
now.
Yeah.
Every time I see that fox, I'm just gonna think ball sack now. I'm not okay with that. It's all her fault.
You're not okay with
I love when Didymus has like that. There's like that funny. I think it's Patton. I don't want to misattribute it, but there's a funny like quote from World War II. I want to say it's Patton is surrounded by like enemy forces, and one of his famous quotes is like, "Sir, they have us surrounded," and he's like, "Good, we know exactly where they are." Like Didymus has like a similarly funny line where he walks out into the middle of like 20 goblins, and he's like, "Don't worry, Ambrosius, we have them surrounded."
Ambrosius, come back here. I won't feed you ever again.
You coward. He calls the dog a coward for like the dog runs into a house and closes the door shut.
I like Ambrosius. Cute.
Ambrosius. I want a dog like Ambrosius, whatever kind of dog that is. I think it's a collie of some kind.
A
sheepdog?
Sheepdog, maybe. I just call it the shaggy dog.
It's a woolly boy.
Shaggy dog.
Woolly boy.
Shaggy.
A woolly boy.
I like that.
Actually, do you know somebody I know has a dog like that, and they actually named it Bully for Woolly Bully.
Oh, cute.
The cutest dog. But anyway, back to the battle. Because I want to mention
really cool.
when it's really well shot because it's like total chaos, but it's shot like it goes back and forth between like close-up shots and like wide shots, but at no point does it. It's like a thing that a lot of movies do now, where they're like, "Oh, we got to have like the shaky cam to show how intense everything is." But this is just like it's shot almost like comedically, where it'll just zoom out to a wide shot, and it's just like all these fucking people running around the city, like, and it's like a Scooby-Doo scene. I love when they all go into the house to escape all the. This is before the rocks come in. They go into the house to escape all the goblins, and the entire house is shaking back and forth. Something about that is just like so cartoony and fun to me.
I can see that. I mean, it is kind of cartoony.
Yeah. It's
like where they climb out the roof of the house to get out.
Yeah, they're climbing up.
He just knocks off the roof.
Yeah, he's knocking off the roof, and then like Sarah's in the house, like breaking fucking bottles over people's heads. She is not taking at this point in the movie. She is not
50 invitations.
What?
And just
That's
like
a joke.
the fact,
Someone gets it.
Somebody out there, we're looking at you, audience member, who gets that.
It's from a very famous game. There's a scene where he says, "No, I said no more than 50 invitations."
I'm sure that I will know that eventually, and I'll get mad at myself.
It involves a guy named Leon. Leon!
Oh!
Leon!
I'm dumb. Oh, Sam's gonna fucking yell at me for that.
808!
Yeah.
808! And you know,
yeah, that's. Don't worry, I'm gonna get yelled at for not getting that joke.
it's Resident Evil 4.
I'm aware. I'm just not looking forward to getting yelled at.
You're just like, I'm going to ignore Mike. Maybe he'll stop talking.
Maybe just shut up.
Spoiler alert. I'll never stop. All right.
But,
you go.
After the battle. Well, I was just gonna say after the battle, back to the battle. After the battle, they storm I like how they storm Jareth's like the Acropolis, like his big tower. It's great that they duck like before that cannon. I'm jumping back and forth now in my head, so I'm like having trouble communicating this. I like when the cannon is shooting at them and like they duck behind the fucking fountain, and it's just like machine gun bullets flying everywhere. All of a sudden, it's a war movie. You hear like the
don't
like
forget Hoggle's pissing in the
the fountain of Hoggle peeing. Yeah.
It's like 4 Hoggles peeing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even want to think what the movie's trying to tell us.
Maybe that's why Hoggle left the. Well, no, maybe it's something really simple. Like maybe that's why he left the Goblin City and he lives outside the walls is because like people really like Hoggle, and so like they were making fun of Hoggle, and so they built this like they caught him peeing into a fountain, and so they put him on the fountain peeing into it. And so he's like, fine, I'll go pee on the ponds outside the wall.
Put way too much thought into that.
I just want to say hashtag mood for the one goblin that at some point during the battle just says, fuck this, I'm going to sleep.
That's Warwick Davis.
That's Warwick Davis? Oh,
yeah, he's the one that goes, I'm going home, or whatever.
Enough of this.
Yeah.
Says, enough of this, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
It's just like the most relatable character in any movie. Enough of this, I'm going to bed.
That's what you do.
And then all the rocks chase him into the house.
Like, fuck it, I'm out of here.
So now we're at the ending.
Well, we got the staircase we got to talk about with the weird ass song that, I mean, okay, that scene, I mean, after everything we talked about this movie so far, that scene just even screams more weirdness and toxicity, yeah. I feel like.
Before we get there, they run through like
after, when
they're storming. This is like,
yeah. You talk.
Well, this is after they storm into like his throne room and he's not there, and they're like let's go get him, and Sarah's like, no, I have to do this alone. And they're like, why? And she's like, because that's how it goes. Like that's how all like movies and books end, is I have to face him alone. I like that line of like Hoggle just being like, well, like we're here if you need us. Like, don't forget to call. And it's like I don't know. So that really like is kind of touching, because it's like, oh yeah, like this is their goodbye. Like after she beats him, she's going back home, so she's not going to see them again. And they're just so kind of torn up about it. Like, if you need us, call us. Like, don't forget about us. And she goes off to fight Jareth. I just that's a really touching moment that I like before she goes to the MC Escher painting.
I thought you'd say MC Hammer, but you let me down.
No, it's MC Escher.
Can't touch this.
Okay. Yeah, and that
I didn't realize
that song fucking
in my head.
Oh man, it's creepy.
It's not
good. Just
can't touch this.
It's so
that's a little creepy too, but
well, like
no,
so many of the lines in that song are like where he's like half singing, half talking to her, and he said this one line that really stands out that always fucking like legitimately disturbs me, where he's like, if you just let me rule you, I'll be your slave. It's just I don't know. That's like it's
so. But again, this did come out in the 80s, so maybe you wouldn't have had the type of like now where we're more aware of things where you wouldn't have been at that time. Maybe
I don't
maybe
know,
he was going for how we're feeling about this.
I have two theories about it, where it was all like a happy accident where they didn't realize they were making this movie with this deeper meaning, and they like it happened accidentally and now it exists, or because this is a kids movie. This was a movie made for children. This had a PG rating. It was.
Did they really?
Terry. Yeah, it did. It was my other theory is that it was Terry Jones and Jim Henson like saying, how can we warn kids about this kind of behavior in a way that
that's a really cool way to think about it.
I want to say that that was it. That it was Terry Jones and Jim Henson saying, this is the story we want to tell. This is like this is the kind of evil character we want to show. Because I feel like Terry Jones and Jim Henson were both pretty ahead of their time. They were both pretty forward-thinking guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean Jim Henson especially, but like yeah, I'm more in the camp of they knew what they were doing, and it was a kind of warning to kids like, hey, if you recognize this kind of behavior, if somebody is trying to control you, then you need to understand that.
Because there's too many things for it to be coincidence. Because especially the more we're talking about it, the more things are jumping out at me that I didn't realize. Like I saw that it was kind of creepy that he's chasing after her. She's trying to get to the baby and he's saying some weird stuff, but I didn't have subtitles on, so I missed out on I'd missed out on that line.
Oh god, like all the lines there are so fucking creepy. All of his lines at the end where he's like, yeah, it's just like, oh, just let me rule you, and like. So many of his lines are like weird contradiction.
The direct line is, I asked for so little, just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave.
Yep.
Yeah,
that is manipulative and toxic in so many levels. I mean, in one line it can sound like sexy in a way if you if you don't understand the whole meaning behind that. But to me, it just sounds very toxic. But I think David Bowie. I think David Bowie wrote the music too for this movie. I want to say he wrote everything.
He wrote all the music.
But again, a pretty forward-thinking guy. So
yeah. Hey, he wrote Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, it's true. Nope. Oh, my Siri is freaking out, and now it's gonna freak out again because I said the name again. Damn it! But yeah, like
it's an ongoing thing in the podcast.
It's just fucking like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to watch, and if anyone's ever been in that situation, it's hard to watch those scenes and like not feel very, very uncomfortable, very disturbed during those moments. Like, yeah, really just I'll be your slave. Oh God.
After we've been talking, just the way that I'm viewing things now, it's gonna be very interesting when I rewatch this movie again because I'm gonna probably pick up on a lot more.
Do it with the script too. When you're reading the lines or with like subtitles on, when you're reading the lines and hearing the way they're being delivered, it is much darker than you expect it to be.
Yeah, it's a lot creepy.
I want to say I have no basis for this. I don't know this for sure, but I have a basis for it. I don't know this for sure, but I want to say like this is probably the performance that like David Lynch saw, and he was like, "Yes, I want that guy to be in my show, in my movies." Like that creepy motherfucker that is delivering these insanely disturbing lines, but still being like weirdly like human during it. I don't know. It's all credit to Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie for just having like the best performances ever during these sections.
Yeah, they both do a great job.
They both did well. Yeah, especially Jennifer Connelly being so young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, just like the
a very weird ass. And I want to say the whole way that she even beats David Bowie's character, the Goblin King, is by finding out that she has the power. Isn't that how it ends? I want to say like she realized he had.
You have no power over me. The best line ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you have no power.
Yeah,
Again, another part that hits that whole aspect of a toxic, abusive relationship. Like God, this movie is.
And they set that up in the very beginning of the movie when she's doing her monologue and she can't remember that line. And
it's a full circle ending.
Yeah, she realizes at the end of the movie, like she has the power. She knows the lines. She knows the end of the book, and she just can't remember that one. She can't remember that she has the power in that situation. It's so good. And it's just, oh God, it's a difficult movie because it's a kid's movie and it's like in a lot of ways it's really fun and really funny, and then you put this like new lens on it. It's like, holy shit, this movie is like really dark and it's not about like a girl trying to it's not about a girl trying to get her brother back. It's about a girl like overcoming her abuser. You're just like, holy shit, okay, yeah, that's what's happening now.
Yep.
Wow, but I like that. Yeah, she overcomes it, and immediately David Bowie like just loses all power.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a great metaphor. So I say it has that positive ending. Like it's disturbing the entire way, but it has that happy like final battle.
Yeah, and you get to see her grow up, which is really hard and isn't linear, and she has lots of ups and downs, but in the end she makes it.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like other movies that tell stories like that, and I couldn't come up with any that really were really good. Or generally when like an abuser is in a movie, the movie is more about like a revenge fantasy, which isn't always like the route you should go. It's kind of more just like like a nice euphoria of it. But what the fuck? There's a movie with, I want to say it was with Mark Wahlberg maybe, where he's like an abusive boyfriend that's like he's like he at some point he like starts punching his chest to fake that like the dad is beating him to like convince the girlfriend to like get out of that house so that he can control her. And I couldn't remember the name of that movie, but it's like the only other one I could think of that like came close to that story.
I'm not familiar with that, but I'm
trying to remember. The annoying thing is the only reference point I have for that movie is that they make a joke about it in Always Sunny. That's the only thing I can relate it to.
Of course.
You in that show.
I can't remember the name. It's very good, but I can't remember it. I'll try to look it. It's Fear. The movie's Fear. It is Mark Wahlberg. It's Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like he's supposed to be like the perfect boyfriend to her and everything, and then like he starts getting like really like aggressive and controlling and creepy. But like that's a good movie, but like that doesn't come close to like David Bowie's just disturbingness, and yeah. That's why I like that it ends with the MC Escher painting, because that painting is all about kind of like
MC Hammer.
Again,
the
I
idea.
keep hearing it every time.
What? Oh, MC Hammer.
Every time you say MC Escher, I'm like, I'm waiting.
Well, that's what I like about the MC Hammer painting, Relativity, which it's actually not a painting, it's a print. But yeah, the whole point of that work by that artist, so Mike, is that yeah, it's all about like illusion and kind of like normal laws don't apply to that painting, which is great because yeah, like David Bowie's whole power is illusion, like we were saying. It's lying, it's trying to control her and kind of gaslight her and make her lose her sense of reality. The whole sequence is shot so well, where she's chasing Toby around and like Toby's like up on the ceiling and she's down on the ground, and then she like walks out and like suddenly Toby's across the room and she's got like a gap to cross, and you never know where she's at in that whole scene until the very end, where David Bowie comes to confront her and she has her line, "I have the power now," and like suddenly it's a really subtle section, but suddenly you see where she is. Yeah.
You know what other movie that does gaslighting really well is Inception.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, but I can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he convinces his... Now, I've seen Inception once in my life, so also remember this is a very basic understanding. But he convinces his wife that the only way to get out is by ending the dream, right? And then she ends up killing herself. And I thought that was a really powerful metaphor for gaslighting. But I also understand that most people did not interpret it that way.
I never did before, but I never thought of it that way. But it does make... I can see it now that you say it. It's in a dark episode.
Oh, you know what? There actually is they cover it pretty well in Perfect Blue, where the whole point of Perfect Blue is it's like that's the anime. Yeah, it's another Satoshi Kon movie who also did Paprika, which is what Inception came from. But I don't like Christopher Nolan. But yeah, Perfect Blue is all about like a Japanese pop idol who is like losing her grasp on reality, and like her managers are not helping her with that. And it's another movie that's very disturbing because you never know what's real and what, like, it's told from her perspective mostly, so you don't know what's actually happening and what's like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
But
interesting.
Also,
I've always wanted to see this.
Black Swan was also based on Perfect Blue, or at least there's
I think it was.
Oh, it's Natalie Portman?
Well,
yes.
Yeah, Black Swan was based on like Perfect Blue and Black Swan, which is a real ballet. But
I looked up Black Swan. I did not find the movie on Wikipedia at first.
I was just talking to somebody about Black Swan like 2 weeks ago. Interestingly enough, Black Swan's a weird movie. Black Swan was a good movie that got like a ridiculous amount of press because they were like, "Oh, there's like a lesbian sex scene, and it's gonna demoralize all of our children. There'll be chaos in the streets." Because there's like a 3-second sex scene with Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis. I remember, everyone was saying like the world is going to end. That was the level of seriousness that people were talking about Black Swan.
Hey, remember that Super Bowl? There are certain people who watched that Super Bowl special just happened are now going to hell because their poor eyes were damaged. You know, they saw a woman shake their ass.
Oh God, yeah.
Whole damn scene is the devil.
Yeah, as if anyone... I don't know why everybody... Like, the idea that anyone was fucking surprised about the goddamn Super Bowl halftime show, like they've never heard of Shakira or Beyonce before. Like,
Beyonce?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck's wrong with you? You just said Beyonce instead of J-Lo. I'm
sorry, not Beyonce, J-Lo.
I'm slightly offended right now.
I will, in my defense, I didn't actually watch the Super Bowl. I just saw all the people freaking out about it afterwards.
So he assumed
you should watch
Beyonce.
it. Yeah. The halftime show was so good. I loved it.
Good.
I've heard it's very good. I've seen like stills of it, but I haven't actually watched the whole thing.
I did after.
Yeah, the amount of people that are just like freaking out, like, I can't believe Shakira like showed her butt. And it's like, you know who Shakira is. We all know. We all remember Hips Don't Lie. Like, we knew going in what we were getting.
You know her music, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that had to do with people. I mean, some people were just not okay with it just because they weren't. Because some people consider Super Bowl family friendly in a way that I'm like, you're okay with people watching them beat the shit out of each other and tackle them, but that's I don't know. I found that odd.
Also,
again, it's a culture we're like that.
let's say that, but let's just ignore that. Like, how many fucking like NFL players are like known rapists or abusers or like have just beat the shit out of people and gotten away with it? But whatever.
Remember that guy O.J. Simpson? He was innocent, right?
Yeah.
For those that are on Facebook, I do love the meme that's going around where it says, acquitted doesn't mean you're innocent, and has a picture of O.J. Simpson. I just laugh every time. But I don't go too far into that, but that does crack me up every time I see it. Okay, did we talk about the ending of this movie when because we got to start wrapping this up soon. We got half an hour. But did we talk about the ending where she comes out of the bedroom or comes back into the bedroom?
We
No,
did
we
not
haven't gotten
yet.
there yet.
Not
Okay,
yet.
I'll take it over.
That's actually where we're at.
Okay, I had to run away, so I didn't. But I'll take over for this part.
Sorry.
Like that part is cool, but to me it was like I liked how she comes back to the real world with Toby, and she's kind of sad because the friends that she made along the way aren't there with her, and then they all come through the mirror, and one I'm like, and they're they're all partying, making loud music, and I'm like, one
I don't
doesn't the
get
parent
the party.
Oh.
I don't
Why
get-
not? They just won.
Yeah,
the
but
parents would
it's,
hear it.
gobs are there. You have the goblins, and you have the guy with the weird
Yeah.
bird on his head that we neglected to talk about for some reason.
Because I forgot about him.
Yeah, you mean Banjo Kazooie?
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, yep.
I don't even talk
It's-
about him.
That is the strangest part of the movie, but I think that leans. I think that leans. Sorry, my accent's slipping through. I think that lends credence to the notion that it did actually happen, and that she does have some kind of actual power, unless she's just imagining that.
Power of the Babe.
Babe,
I think she has the power of the babe, which is voodoo, as we all know.
you do.
It happened to happen. Wow, it had to happen once this episode.
I wanted to make sure it was going to happen.
Somehow I avoided it up till now.
You've just been ignoring me when I tried earlier. You're like, I'll just ignore Mike. I'll keep talking.
Because if we did that at the beginning of the episode, that's all we would do for the rest of the episode. I know if I got into that, I would not be able to get out of it. I know how my mind works.
I do too at this point.
But yeah, it's an odd and first of all, like her she shows up in a room and she gives her brother the step bear that she was looking for in the beginning, which they never explain how that bear left her room because she accuses the baby of stealing it, even though it's a baby.
Maybe he
Somebody's
steals.
been in my room. I hate that.
Yeah. I hate that.
She did it better.
Yeah,
Tiffany
that's the
won.
one. That's the one part of her acting that I don't like. I hate that.
I hate
But yeah, the
She's
mom,
right.
the stepmom, and the dad return, and she takes some time to like respond to them, which is kind of a dick move. I know she's happy to be back, but they're like, "Honey, we're home. Honey, are you up there?" First of all, it's a dick move on the parents because it's midnight and they're just
Yeah.
yelling in the house like, "We're back!" Like we assume you're still awake, you 15-year-old girl and baby at midnight.
Just
up,
wake up the
motherfuckers, we're home
child.
from the play. Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
she
that's
like
what you
they're
wanna
yelling
do.
for
Wake up
quite a
babies.
while before she says like, "It's okay," and then they don't come up to like check on her or the baby. They're just like, "Okay, yeah, she's here. All right."
I mean, they don't hear the
Very
big
strange.
party. Like, and again,
Yeah,
as Tiffany had said, I don't understand why the goblins were there exactly. But maybe the goblins weren't bad. It was the Goblin King that was bad because the Goblin King is an abusive, manipulative asshole. So
Well, I guess
Maybe
it was
Sarah
just all
is
the
the
random
goblin-
characters up there. Oh, the Goblin
Well,
Queen.
maybe. Yeah, maybe she since she defeated David Bowie, she's now the leader of the goblins. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
Does that mean-
I don't know. That's the thing.
Does that mean that Jareth was once a Sarah? And
That makes sense. That would make sense. A lot of people
he
who are
made a
abusers were once
bad-
themselves.
yeah,
It's like the cycle of bullying.
now
maybe.
I'm picturing a teenage Bowie. That can't get out of my
you
head.
can Google it if you want to. Google will find you Teenage Bowie. I'm sure.
No, that's okay. No.
Right. I'm not gonna Google
Teenage
it. But I'm saying
bully or teenage bully?
Bowie.
Wait, what?
David
That's
Bowie.
a Bowie, teenage Bowie.
Oh,
I think I said bully twice. I meant to say teenage Bowie or teenage bully, and I think I said bully twice in a row.
That happens, by the way, sometimes.
Confused myself.
Hey, there's a song called Teenage
I-
Wildlife by David Bowie, by the way. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't
A lot of
listen to
songs by
David Bowie, by the
They're
way.
all good, and you should listen to all of them.
The only song I
That's
really
good.
know that I know like a lot is Ziggy Stardust because of Guitar Hero 1.
A lot of people know the song Heroes, but they don't know that it's David Bowie, I find.
I don't think I did. I think he just taught me something new.
Throwing it out there. My favorite song by David Bowie is Where Are We Now, but whatever.
Right. And just
Tiffany, what's your song by David Bowie?
I'm not a David Bowie fan, so.
That's okay.
Yes, you are. Everybody is.
She's in this movie.
You just don't know you are.
My favorite
just
is.
Don't know I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. My favorite is Heroes, and it's because they covered it in American Horror Story, season 4.
My favorite cover of Heroes. My favorite cover of Heroes is a regular show, and I'm not going to tell anybody the context for it, just that it gets covered at some point during that show. It's fucking phenomenal.
I don't think I know this song. I'm going to have to listen to it after we're done recording.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are you guys
definitely heard it before?
Are you guys ready for me to move on to questions? Because we got about 20 minutes before we got to wrap this up.
I am ready.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read some of these fast because I don't want to miss. So I mean, some will definitely comment on. But okay, first, this is from the Twin Cities Geek Group. I asked them for some questions. They got me some. From Irie Byneth. I was only recently made aware that the movie Mirror Mask has a somewhat interesting tie to Labryinth and the Dark Crystal. I have no idea what that is.
I don't. Oh. I think I googled it.
Mirror Mask.
Okay. Pronounce your R's.
Arg.
Oh, it's that the Neil Gaiman movie.
I don't know. We have Google in front of us, by the way.
Oh, we do. Oh,
you Google, I'll read. All right. Next question from comment from Jenny Wine. Said Labryinth gave me nightmares throughout my childhood, and even as an adult, I will sometimes get one. I can understand after everything. I can understand.
I understand that. Yeah.
She put the smiley laughing face, but I don't know how to make an emoticon on.
She's a monster.
On radio.
Mirror Mask was a movie written by Neil Gaiman, produced by the Jim Henson Company. So it has that connection. Oh, and the main character's name is Helena, which is the connection to this episode of the podcast.
Hey.
All right. This one's from Rebecca.
Like poetry.
She said, I saw the Labryinth when I was like 5 or 6 for the first time. That gave me strange feelings. I had a crush on both Jareth and Sarah before I even know what a crush was. As the world falls down, the song in general has helped me fall asleep at times when I'm really stressed or my anxiety/depression is at its worst. I can put that song on repeat, close my eyes, and drift away back to that world. David Bowie in general, I always crushed on, and I was heartbroken when he passed away. His voice will always be hauntingly beautiful. It's really good. I really wanted to read that.
Oh,
that's nice. Yeah, it's worrying because this one is still like I think it's normal to have a crush on David Bowie. I have to believe that personally, but
if you're a kid,
like
nothing.
It's disturbing. Like it's disturbing to have a crush on David Bowie because of this movie.
Oh.
I mean, before you really understand it, I can.
She was young.
No, it makes sense.
She didn't understand.
I didn't even know this movie was about this until we started this podcast episode. So let's.
No, I mean, like
you did a little bit,
but then, like,
not to how far we went, or there would have been a warning at the beginning of this episode.
I thought you were going to do that. You said
I say a lot of things, baby.
That.
I told you. I did tell you, Mike. I told you that this was going to be like a 3-hour episode. I let you know up front.
I knew that. I mean, it's been a week from hell. Well, not really hell, but I've been so fucking busy in real life that I'm just like, my brain's not working as well.
Look,
all right, from a friend of mine.
People will see the time. They'll know.
They'll know.
From Amanda Mitchell. She said, both my husband and I grew up loving Labryinth. In fact, we watched the making of that, and that's what he decided he wanted to go to art school for special effects, makeup, and graphic design. Since we both love this movie so much, we chose As the World Falls Down as our first dance at our wedding.
Oh, that's so cute.
Cool.
Oh, this is Amanda?
Yeah, Amanda Mitchell.
I know this. She's super fun.
She's got a badass attitude, which amuses me.
That's why she's super fun.
Well, she works at a job where they don't give it. Well, she works at a place they don't give a shit sometimes what people say, and sometimes people will be rude to her, and she'll give them right back, and that job doesn't care.
Oh,
so I'll leave out that name of that job.
Dream.
That
is the dream.
If it wasn't for the fact that I just mentioned her name, I would completely rat out the place that I'm thinking of. But I mentioned her name, so I'm not going to.
Otherwise, careful.
I keep my mouth shut. All right, only 100 people listen to this. 200 some days. So
give out her name, her address, just completely dox her on the fucking podcast.
I'm not doing. Might edit out some of this. All right, from Jerry Jerry, depending on the geek involved, if someone starts the lyrics, the magic dance will be added too. You remind me of the Babe with the power. And another one from Travis Hildebrand. Clearly, that is Princess Vespa. She does kind of look like her.
Kind of. Yeah. She's got it's the 80s flowy shirts.
From Candy Ulrich. I seriously used to dress up and roleplay like Sarah. I was 14. This movie completely got me and my geekiness. Of course, I think having been a longtime fan of Muppets helped my grandkids, grandnieces, nephews don't like them. Well, like, okay, I'm not sure. Oh, they don't like Muppets. I was like, wait a second. Lastly, still mourning Bowie in the 80s. The 80s, I'm not mourning, but Bowie's sad.
I'm still mourning Bowie.
Allie G, because I cannot pronounce his last name. I grew up obsessed with this movie. I had a poodle
Allie
skirt
G in the house?
That is where inside out, so the tulle ruffles were on the outside so I could look like Sarah. It is still a huge goal of mine to recreate that gown. I had nothing. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I feel like you could.
What?
No, I feel like
I'm confused too. It could have just been that I read it wrong.
No.
All right.
What are you confused about?
What a gown is, maybe?
Yeah, she wants to recreate the outfit.
Yeah, she had a poodle skirt that she would wear inside out. Huh?
I don't know what a poodle skirt is.
Okay, go on. Never mind. I'm not explaining this to you.
That's okay. I have Google. From
Mike,
Tiffany Albertin,
movie Grease.
He said, "I'm not alone." You're right, Tiffany. You're not alone.
Mike, have you seen the movie Grease?
Yeah, that's a poodle skirt.
Okay,
they all wear poodle skirts.
And from Greg Larson, pants, magic pants.
Ignoring us.
Yeah, I am, because I'm running out of time. And I got a lot of comments. So,
got a lot of comments.
Yeah, this is from another group. Somebody posted a GIF. He said, I watched this a few years ago on broadcast TV, and I think they blurred out Bowie's crotch, damn it. And he posted a GIF that says, "Let me show you my magic balls," as he's twirling the crystal balls.
Oh, yeah, crystal balls.
And from Brian
Bowie's
Lang,
magic Peter Crouch.
I do not enjoy it whatsoever. I can understand. I enjoy it, but I understand. From Todd Harrison, also that crib that Toby's in is a death trap. He's safer with Bowie. I mean, look at all those blankets. He's not wrong. It is unsafe.
Bowie tends to shake the baby though, so I don't know. Like
he throws the baby up in the air, but it's not the baby.
At least, I mean, when he's dancing around with that baby, he is doing a lot of like spins and some very aggressive jerks.
From Lauren Mueller, said absolutely one of my favorite movies. Grew up watching it and will rewatch it a couple times a year. Even got a piece from my daughter done with a Bowie quote from the movie done last year. A tattoo. There's a picture of. Looks cool, by the way. Cool. If you're listening,
I hope we didn't like ruin this movie for anybody.
I think we did. I mean, we really got dark in the
lot. We probably did. We probably did.
I'm sorry.
Woo-hoo!
Andrew Shaw, first movie I ever saw in the cinema. All I remember from then is the owl opening credits, but it's been one of my favorite movies since then. That's cool.
Okay.
This was the first movie he saw at a movie theater? Jesus.
First movie I saw with TMT, but I remember nothing. Other than my mother telling me I saw it when I got bored.
Yeah.
I feel like seeing Labryinth for the first time. That sets an expectation that's very strange.
This would be a good movie to see on the big screen.
All right.
First movie I saw in a movie theater was Hercules.
From Kelly.
Oh,
Kelly
wow,
Lynch
he's a baby.
I remember first watching it when I was 6 or 7. My sister, who was 8, had a huge crush on Bowie in the movie, which my mother found disturbing, mainly due to his huge bulge. My sister would talk about how she wanted the Goblin King to take her away and romance her like the girl in the movie, which terrified my mom even more. Yeah, I understand now, especially after this talk. Oh, man. Okay, I'm just going to read a couple more. I got about 3 minutes, and then we're going to go to Shelf or Box no matter what. From John Henning, said, "Is it really a little-known cult classic? I grew up watching this, so I always figured most people knew about it." Yeah, it's a cult classic.
No,
absolutely.
He's talking about little known.
I think it's little-known cult classic.
He said, "I want questions for this little-known cult classic."
Maybe I was being sarcastic. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I
told them to ask
definitely not
5 people
anymore.
at his work and see if they know what it is. I don't think it's that widely known as he thinks it is.
I would say it's more widely known now that Dark Crystal is coming back and people are getting more interested in Jim Henson again.
Yeah, now it is, but in the past years it wasn't.
All right, this one from Zach Locks. This movie reminds me of The Babe. From Sarah Collins, I really want to live in this dream bubble as a child, and maybe now Also, Hago freaks me out. I know he's a good guy, but he looks like an old guy and like Sarah too much. You know,
he's kind of a good guy.
Got her wires crossed.
From Angel Johnson, friend of the show. Look, every woman of my generation knows this movie. You can literally start, you remind me of the Babe around any of us and we'll finish it. That's probably true.
I love you, Angel.
And the last one I'm going to read, because I'm running out of time, from Brittany Colson. I love this movie. At 16, my youngest sister was about a year old, and I was left to watch her one evening, which she spent the entirety screaming until my mom and stepdad got home, and I literally lifted this kid up and quoted the movie, hoping to fae folk they would truly take her away.
Sad.
Okay, that was funny. I understand. As a parent, when I went through some times, I can understand. Rough someday. And I think it's time to move on to Shelf or Box. And Tiffany, do you want to go first?
I was like, okay. Well,
I was real
it's
silent there.
It's on the shelf with my Funko Pops and my action figures and anything else I have.
Shirt, the Blu-ray. Trying to think what else I bought you this blanket.
You haven't bought me a necklace yet. Get on that.
That's coming. Okay. How about you, Helena?
That wasn't a good noise.
I mean, it shelf, but also I would probably put some other things in front of it. It's, I don't know, it's a classic. I think it's widely known.
I might have been a little snarky when I made that comment.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if you look at the artistry and what they did with the CGI and really the amazing puppetry they did, like it's awesome to look as an art piece, but yeah, I don't know how to how to explain my feelings for it. They're not great. I don't know.
Okay.
Shelf-ish.
You can do either or, whatever fits you.
Yeah. Back of
We
shelf.
have often said, yeah, like,
she's
like barely
unsure.
on the shelf.
I'll go next. I'm putting it in the box. One, I'm just not a big fan of this movie. I mean, I like it. It's a good movie, and I like what they did. Now that we have like completely broke it down and talk about all the toxic things, I'm just like, oh. But even before that, I already decided this to go in the box because it doesn't really grab me. I know my wife is threatening to give me the evil eye in the other room right now, but it just didn't. It's not one of my favorite movies. Because one, I didn't grow up with it. I always had that random scene of walking through the auditorium, like, what's that movie? And somebody talking about George Lucas going, oh, the Star Wars guy. And then I didn't find out what this movie was till many years later, and it's just doesn't have any special place for me. So it's going to go in the box. How about you, Stu?
Hello.
Sorry, I was muted. How long do I have? 30 seconds?
You got it.
So, I am gonna shelve this movie. I actually really, really like this movie. I appreciate it, like Helena said, from the artistic standpoint. Just the puppetry of it is like insane. How much they were able to accomplish. Like Jim Henson definitely has a very specific style, and it's not for everybody. Like when you look at this or Dark Crystal, some people love it, some people just fucking hate it and can't be like, they just can't look at it. It's just too disturbing. It's like clowns. It's like the clown situation. Some people love it, some people hate it. I love this movie though. I mean, like it's dark and it tells a very good story, and I don't think it hits you over the head with it. In some ways might be too subtle, I guess, because I think a lot of people kind of miss that, but I think it's a important movie for the story and just like exploring the power dynamic between the two characters really well. So it's definitely going on my shelf, and I apologize to anybody who is like has this movie ruined for them because of how we talked about it.
Yeah, we should have put a warning in the beginning. Feel really bad now.
I might record. I'm going to record it now before. Actually, I'll do that after we almost finish. I can put it in there.
There you go.
I think that's a good idea.
I love the power editing.
You're like, warning, shit gets real.
Shit gets real. I like that. Do that. Do exactly like that.
Oh god, this is staying, by the way. Okay. And I think that just about wraps. Any last minute things you guys want to say about I think we already said all that, didn't we? What am I saying? All right, first I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, aka Mike Stoney. It is the song "Cool Kid Squad" from his EP "Bite the Bullet." Hey, that was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I didn't stumble. I didn't fall over. I didn't.
I was just gonna say you didn't stumble, you didn't stutter, you didn't slur. That was pretty good.
I actually memorized what I actually remember what I want to say. You know, maybe one day I'd actually write out the outro for the show. Nah.
Is it Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, or Mike Stoney, aka Bulby, though? Because you said Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, and I thought it was the other way around. Not to take away your victory.
Don't ruin his moment. Damn it.
I mean, it was still really good, but
I got a bad feeling about this, too. Got a bad feeling.
I just got cut from the podcast. Sorry, everybody.
My off-topic thing right before I want to say, after watching way too much Star Wars Clone Wars, they say that a lot in that show. All the fucking time. I got a bad feeling about this. All the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's become like a just like that go-to phrase in Star Wars, even though
I start saying it too.
Not to be a Star Wars purist here, but even though when Han Solo says it the first time, there's actually nothing bad that's about to happen, and he's just got this like weird sense to show that he's got this like innate sense of how the world works. And then they say it in every fucking Star Wars movie, and it's like, I've got a bad feeling about this. It's like, yeah, no shit, the bad guy's right there. Like, this isn't the same kind of moment.
All right, and before we
still
wrap
really
this
like
up,
hearing the line because it's like, yeah, I remember that, but still.
I got one random thing I want to say about this movie. There was a guy who came into my store one day, and he had a Labryinth shirt on, and I looked at to him and I said, who has the power? He's like, the power of the babe, or something like that. We said something stupid to each other, and it worked because I can't remember. I didn't want to say babe, but I said something, and he was telling me one time he was at a coffee shop, and he had said, who has the power? And somebody replied, the power of the babe, and like in the top of the coffee shop or something, and it just cracked me up.
I was playing like Uno or something with some friends, and somehow that quote came up, and we went through the whole thing, and it was just like, what power? The power of voodoo. And we just looked at each other and went, dance magic, dance.
Climbing snails and puppy dog tails, thunder and lightning.
And the baby says,
all right, we will see you guys all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't watch Labryinth with your kids, or who knows, it's PG-13 or PG technically. Somehow.